Important update about YouTube playlists. Hey everyone. We've received many messages asking why our YouTube playlists aren't showing up. Do we create YouTube playlists? Yes, we absolutely do. So why can't you see them? Honestly, we're not sure. We've been in contact with YouTube support for several months now, but we still haven't received a clear answer or solution. After much discussion, our team has decided to take matters into our own hands. We believe the issue might be related to the number of playlists we've created on a single channel, possibly too many. Our solution? We're launching 2 additional YouTube channels, giving us a total of 3. This way, we can organize our audiobooks better and avoid the playlist visibility issue in the future. This change only affects our YouTube audience. If you're a patron supporter, you can still access all our audiobooks by visiting the collection menu on Patreon. Thanks so much for your time and continued support. Happy listening. Chapter 1. The apocalypse arrives. Choose 3 out of 5 at the start. Temporary brain storage. Andy, I'm counting on you. If an apocalyptic crisis is about to erupt, you have the following choices, and you can pick 3. Which ones would you choose? A supply of food and water for 1 person, unlimited. 100 assault rifles and 10,000 rounds of ammunition. Gain attributes by killing zombies, with a chance to drop equipment and items. 100-fold return. Anything you give to a beautiful woman to eat will be returned 100-fold. A space ring. Which 3 would you choose? Hueco City, Xingfu Residential Complex. As he stared at the sudden questionnaire in front of him, Yizayu felt like his worldview was being tested. He had just planned to scroll through DN after work, but out of nowhere, a system interface popped up, and no matter what he tried, he couldn't close it. Apocalypse? What's with all this nonsense about an apocalypse? Yizayu's expression was strange. As a 9-to-6 corporate drone already worn down by daily grind, he was annoyed. Can't I just relax? Now even DN's making me deal with apocalyptic scenarios. Fine, at least make it real if you're going to keep asking me these choices every day. This is pointless. Still, despite the rant, if he truly had to choose, wasn't the answer obvious? Definitely 3, 4, and 5. A 1-person food supply might be nice, but it couldn't compare to the 100-fold return perk. Versatility was key. In a true apocalypse, strengthening oneself was paramount. With enhanced abilities, a space ring, and loot drops from killing zombies, what was there to fear? Ding. Congratulations, host, your choices have been recorded. The system is loading. The next second, as Yizayu finalized his picks, a mysterious notification rang in his ears, startling him. Huh? What was that sound? Before he could think further, a cacophony of panicked screams and desperate cries echoed from outside. Ah! Don't come any closer. What's wrong with you, Xiaoyu? We just started dating, and now you're attacking me in public. Can we take this somewhere private? No. Stop. You crazy son. I'm your mother. The chaos outside sent a chill through Yizayu. He quickly got up, rushed to the balcony, and looked out. The sight was horrifying. The once pristine, round moon in the sky had turned a blood-red hue, glaring down like an ominous eye. Everything under its light, people, animals, and objects, was transforming at an alarming speed. In the neighborhood courtyard, a poodle with blood-red eyes was ferociously attacking a woman holding its leash. Its immense strength had pinned down the woman, who looked to be at least 160 pounds, and was tearing into her, leaving her bloodied and mangled. Not far away, a man was biting another woman, who screamed in agony, believing her new boyfriend had gone mad. What the hell is going on? Seeing this, Yizayu gasped in shock. The moon had turned red, and those people, they genuinely seemed to have turned into zombies. Could the apocalypse really be here? At that moment, the system voice rang out again. Congratulations, host. You guessed correctly. The apocalypse has indeed arrived. From now on, the world will descend into an endless cycle of apocalyptic catastrophes, zombies, acid rain, red mist, mutated disaster beasts, glacial storms, mutated creatures, earthquakes, meteors, and the awakening of subterranean life. Host, please enjoy. Yizayu froze. Wait, what? The system wasn't joking? That's right. Yizayu was a transmigrator who had been in this parallel world for 3 years. Although this world wasn't much different from his previous life, he had assumed his unique identity as a transmigrator would let him reach the pinnacle of life. But reality was brutal. Without any cheat abilities, even a transmigrator without wealth or connections was nothing more than a corporate mule. After working tirelessly for 2.5 years as a wage slave, the system now tells him the apocalypse is here. And this disaster level is insane. Zombies, acid rain, mutated beasts, earthquakes, meteors, subterranean creatures. Who could possibly survive all this? System, are you serious? The system replied coolly, what do you think? Looking down at the frenzied zombies below, Yizayu sighed, yeah. It's real. Correct answer, host. Congratulations, the apocalypse is here. Prepare for survival. Rewards from your choices are being distributed now. Rewards? Yizayu's initial panic gave way to excitement. Alright. Let's hear it. Distributing rewards, space ring, a ring with a storage capacity of 1000 cubic meters, capable of holding all types of items. No time flow inside. The downside, it cannot store living beings. Zombie kill attribute bonus, each mutated creature killed grants random attribute points, which can be freely allocated to enhance the host's stats. 100-fold return, feed food to women rated 95 or above in beauty, and the amount will be returned 100-fold. Now, host, prepare for survival. As the notifications ended, a glowing blue ring appeared out of thin air and landed in Yizayu's palm. He was stunned. Wait, this. Wasn't that just a hypothetical choice earlier? It actually gave me the rewards? I need to calm down. Excitement faded as Yizayu noticed the chaos outside. The zombies were still rampaging, and survival was now his top priority. He opened his stats panel to assess himself. Name, Yizayu. Age, 21. Level, 1. Stamina, 10. Strength, 8. Agility, 10. Defense, 10. Talent, none. Summary, just an ordinary person. Unsurprisingly, his stats were below average. Working 9 to 6 as a corporate drone, exploited by the company's beautiful female CEO for only 8,000 yuan a month, with hefty deductions for insurance and other expenses, left him no time to train his body. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, a frantic knock at the door startled him. Who's there? Peering through the peephole, he saw a woman in pajamas outside. Her complexion was pale, her eye sockets sunken, and her eyes were starting to turn red. Still, she was desperately knocking on the door, her voice hoarse. Help. Me. She struggled to call for help, the desire to survive supporting her last shred of sanity. However, in the blink of an eye, the bloodthirsty red glow in her eyes consumed her completely. She transformed into a mindless, mutated zombie, frantically clawing at the door, clearly drawn by the scent of a living human. Yizayu recognized her. She was his upstairs neighbor, the one who always walked her dog and never cleaned up after it, even when it relieved itself in the elevator. Now, she was a zombie. Perfect timing. Yizayu didn't hesitate. He dashed into his walk-in closet, grabbed a baseball bat, and swung the door open. Bam! The zombie's head was crushed in an instant. Since she had just transformed, her strength wasn't significant, making it easier for Yizayu to dispatch her. At the moment her head shattered, a notification rang in Yizayu's mind. Ding! Congratulations, host. You've killed one mutated zombie and gained +3 free attribute points. Would you like to use them now? Huh? I actually got some. A blue dialog box appeared in front of him, showing 3 attribute points in his inventory. Use them. Without hesitation, Yizayu decided to allocate the points immediately. He placed all 3 into strength. A critical stat in this situation. In an apocalypse, strength was essential. Zombies had immense physical power, so to continue killing them, he needed to outmatch them. Ding. Congratulations, host. Your strength has increased to 11 points. As soon as the update was complete, a surge of warmth spread through Yizayu's body. He could feel his strength increase significantly, roughly by a third. He swung his arm experimentally, generating a powerful gust of wind. This is amazing. Yizayu grinned. With this system, as long as he kept killing zombies, he could grow stronger. Even in an apocalypse, survival was possible. With this thought, he decided to head upstairs. If the female zombie had been infected, it was likely her household had another one. Sure enough, as he reached the door, he saw a male zombie in pajamas wandering inside. This was her husband. Zhongzi. Zhongzi had gotten up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, but the window was left open, allowing the blood-red moonlight to shine directly onto him. The exposure caused him to mutate. Now, his veins bulged, his blood-red eyes gleamed like rubies in the dark, and he was crouched over their dog's corpse, tearing into it. Hearing the noise outside, Zhongzi lifted his head from the dog's body, his glowing eyes scanning for the disturbance. As soon as he spotted Yizayu, he lunged toward him with frenzied excitement. But Yizayu was ready. Bam! The baseball bat came down hard, smashing Zhongzi's head. A wet explosion echoed through the hallway as brain matter splattered everywhere. Another system notification sounded in Yizayu's ears. Ding! Congratulations, host. You've killed one mutated zombie and gained +5 attribute points, huh? 5 points this time? Yizayu was surprised. The male zombie's drop was 2 points higher than the female's. Could it be because his physical stats were better? Would you like to allocate your attribute points, host? Yes. Without hesitation, Yizayu confirmed and once again placed all the points into strength. This time, his improvement was dramatic. After testing his arms, Yizayu realized his strength had nearly doubled since he first started. He chuckled to himself, thrilled by the rapid progress. But before he could savor his excitement, a shadow suddenly darted toward him at high speed. Luckily, Yizayu's reflexes had also improved, and he quickly dodged to the side. Turning his head, he saw it was the small poodle from earlier. The same one whose stomach had been torn open. Its blood-red, crazed eyes locked onto him, filled with a feral hatred. "You're still alive after being gutted?" Yizayu exclaimed in disbelief. But he didn't waste time. Gripping his bat tightly, he prepared for another fight. The mutated poodle was surprisingly fast. Faster than either of the two zombies he'd just faced. But Yizayu had anticipated its speed. As it lunged at him, Yizayu sidestepped and swung the bat. Bam! The bat slammed into the poodle's midsection, sending it flying. The force of the blow nearly tore it in half, but the twisted creature continued moving with an unnatural resilience. It lunged again, but this time Yizayu was faster. Bam! A crushing blow shattered its skull, and the poodle finally collapsed, lifeless. "Seems like smashing their heads is the most effective way to kill zombies," Yizayu muttered, lowering his bat. He also noticed that the mutated dog moved far quicker than the others. The virus didn't appear to slow it down like it did the human zombies. If anything, it made it even more agile. As Yizayu prepared to leave, something unusual caught his eye. In the remains of the mutated dog's body, a red, glowing blade lay amidst the gore. "What's this?" Approaching cautiously, Yizayu picked it up. A system notification immediately appeared. "Congratulations, host. You've obtained the weapon, Autumn Leaf Blade, quality, blue." Yizayu froze in shock. Autumn Leaf Blade? Isn't his from a game I used to play in my previous life? Dungeon gear? Wait. This stuff can drop here too? Chapter 2, an Autumn Leaf Blade right at the start? That's right. This blade bore a striking resemblance to a weapon from the game Dungeon Fighter. At 80 centimeters, it wasn't overly long. The blade was a vivid red, with only the black handle left for gripping. When Yizayu held it, he noticed the weapon radiated an intense heat. Though compact, it was razor sharp. Curious, he opened the item details. Item name, Autumn Leaf Blade, quality, blue, description, a weapon with sharp attacks and a fire attribute. It can cauterize wounds, slowing healing and even burning away the zombie virus, bound to user, can be gifted. Wow, it even has fire attribute attacks, Yizayu murmured. It didn't seem to be the same as the Dungeon Fighter weapon, just something similar in appearance. Regardless, the fire attribute was quite impressive. Swinging the Autumn Leaf Blade, Yizayu found it light and perfectly suited for dealing with zombies. Who'd have thought that killing a mutated poodle would draw the weapon? He mused. Now, he was genuinely curious. If I keep killing zombies, will more good stuff drop? Snapping out of his thoughts, Yizayu decided not to rush out. Instead, he shut the door and began scavenging his neighbor's apartment. In the apocalypse, what's most important? Strength and supplies. No matter how powerful you are, survival is impossible without food. Checking the fridge, Yizayu found 5 bottles of Pepsi, 2 unopened bottles of fresh milk, and a mishmash of vegetables and fruits. Without hesitation, he stored everything in his space ring. In the kitchen, he discovered a box of instant noodles, a bag of sausages, and a package of bread in the cupboard. Having read countless apocalypse novels, Yizayu knew these items. Instant noodles, sausages, and the like were as good as currency. Sometimes, a single pack of noodles could trade for a beautiful woman. Not sure if that's true, but better to stockpile first, he muttered, tossing everything into the space ring. After securing his loot, Yizayu returned downstairs. Roar! A zombie staggered up the stairs from below. Yizayu recognized him. An elderly man in his 80s who lived on the second floor. In life, he had been frail and barely able to walk. Now, as a zombie, his body appeared rejuvenated, and he charged at Yizayu with frightening speed, red eyes gleaming with excitement. Yizayu moved to meet him head-on, raising the Autumn Leaf Blade. Slash! With one clean strike, the old man's head rolled off his shoulders and hit the ground. The blade was unbelievably sharp, Yizayu barely exerted any force. The zombie collapsed instantly. Ding! Congratulations, host. You've killed 1 mutated zombie and gained +1 attribute point. Hearing the notification, Yizayu became even more certain that the attribute points awarded depended on the zombie's physical condition. Still, he wasn't discouraged. If he could clear out this entire building, he could likely gain 30 to 40 points. That much strength could multiply his physical abilities 5 or 6 times over, giving him a decent chance of surviving the apocalypse. Unfortunately, the old man didn't drop any items this time. Just the single attribute point. Frowning, Yizayu mentally asked the system, "Are there specific requirements for loot drops?" The system promptly responded, "Loot drops are based on random probability. Zombies may drop items ranging from common, white, to rare, blue, green, and even higher quality items, orange, gold, red, etc. So it's all about luck, huh?" Yizayu sighed in realization. At that moment, he noticed something remarkable. The old man's corpse had been burned to ashes. The autumn leaf blade's fire attribute had completely incinerated it. Damn. Yizayu touched the blade instinctively, muttering, "This weapon is a zombie killer. Not only could it kill zombies, but it could also burn their corpses to prevent further infection. With a blade like this, taking on zombies would be a breeze." Determined, Yizayu started clearing the building methodically. He worked his way from the 9th floor down to the 1st, and then back up again. In total, he encountered 6 zombies during his sweep. By the time he was done, he had earned 13 attribute points from the 6 kills. Adding the old man's point, Yizayu now had 14 points in total. He immediately allocated 10 points to strength. With his strength now at 26, Yizayu could feel the incredible change in his body. Compared to his initial 8 points, his strength had more than tripled. Yizayu felt as though he could smash through a steel door with a single punch. Unfortunately, no new items had dropped during the sweep. The remaining 4 points, Yizayu invested in agility. While his strength was now sufficient to take down zombies, he needed better agility to avoid being ambushed or overwhelmed. The moment he allocated the points, he felt his body lighten, his movements quicker and more fluid. "Not bad at all," Yizayu murmured, gripping the autumn leaf blade as he prepared for his next move. Yizayu moved his arms experimentally again and confirmed that his speed had indeed increased significantly. Both his reflexes and overall sharpness of movement had improved by roughly 50%. Curious, he opened his stats panel. Name, Yizayu, age, 21, level, 1, stamina, 10, strength, 26, agility, 14, defense, 10, talent, none. Summary, an exceptionally powerful ordinary person. As expected, after increasing his agility to 14, the system's evaluation changed. He was now labeled as an exceptionally powerful ordinary person. Not bad, that's definitely progress, Yizayu mused. Still, after so much fighting, he was starting to feel tired. The corridor seemed clear of zombies, and when he checked the time, it was already late at night. Though he had spent a lot of time killing zombies, he'd also used the opportunity to gather supplies. Back home, Yizayu secured the door, blocked it with a chair, and took stock of his haul: 6 crates of bottled water, 3 boxes of instant noodles, 3 barrels of soybean oil, 6 pounds of potatoes, around 3 pounds of bread, 8 packs of sausages, and 200 eggs. These were the essentials. With his stash, he could easily sustain himself. Even if he didn't step outside, he could comfortably survive for at least a month. But Yizayu knew it wasn't enough. The apocalypse had just started, and there was no telling how long it would last. Hoarding more supplies was the safest bet. Luckily, his space ring could hold an incredible amount. 1,000 cubic meters. That was equivalent to a 10-meter long, 10-meter wide, and 10-meter high warehouse. If he filled the ring to capacity, he could stockpile enough food to last a year or more without any issues. Plus, there was his 100-fold return talent. Thinking about it, Yizayu pulled up the description of the talent again. The key requirement was that the person being fed had to be a woman with a beauty rating of 95 or higher. How does the system even judge this? And with zombies running rampant, finding a beautiful woman outside is easier said than done, he muttered. Knock, knock, knock. As if on cue, a series of urgent knocks echoed from the door, accompanied by a sweet yet anxious voice. Yizayu. Yizayu, are you there? It's your neighbor from across the hall. Yizayu walked to the peephole to check. What he saw made his eyes widen slightly. Standing outside was a woman in pink silk pajamas, her long, snow-white legs partially exposed. Her delicate face was filled with worry as she looked toward his door. The tension in her expression was apparent, and her rapid breathing caused her ample chest to rise and fall in an undeniably eye-catching way. Insert illustration, Lin Yuxi. Yizayu frowned slightly but didn't open the door right away. Instead, he watched her carefully, trying to discern whether she was genuinely human or already infected. Chapter 3, Neighbor Lin Yuxi, the beautiful wife? It was her. Lin Yuxi. The moment Yizayu saw this stunning woman, her name immediately came to mind. Lin Yuxi was his neighbor across the hall, a newlywed who had recently thrown a grand wedding celebration that had been the talk of the neighborhood. Her beauty was unrivaled, and many men in the community were secretly infatuated with her. Now, above her head, a string of information appeared. Name, Lin Yuxi. Age, 24. Height, 170 centimeters. Weight, 55 kilograms. Description, beautiful wife, highly attractive, with striking curves. Beauty score, 95, huh? Yi Xiaoyu chuckled as he read the details. Talk about perfect timing. He had just been wondering how to find a woman with a beauty score above 95 to make use of his 100-fold return talent, and here she was. At the door, Lin Yuxi was frantic. Just 3 hours ago, she had been lounging barefoot on her couch in her pajamas, watching TV. A sudden scream outside had caught her attention, and when she checked, she discovered that zombies had broken out. She tried calling her husband, but as soon as he picked up, all she heard were guttural growls and roars on his end. Terrified, she had no choice but to seek help from Yi Xiaoyu across the hall. Yi Xiaoyu, I know you're in there. Please, help me. My husband's been infected, and I'm all alone. I'm scared. Her frantic knocking and shouting quickly drew the attention of the zombies outside. Roar. A bald zombie in a suit, clutching a briefcase, stumbled toward her. Lin Yuxi's face turned deathly pale. It was her husband. His eyes glowed a bloodthirsty red, his movements unsteady yet driven by muscle memory, allowing him to find his way back home. Ah. No. Don't come any closer. Don't come closer. Just as the zombie lunged for her, the door suddenly opened. A strong hand pulled her inside and shoved her behind him. Bang. Yi Xiaoyu's baseball bat smashed into the zombie's head with pinpoint accuracy. The skull exploded in a spray of brain matter, and the monstrous figure collapsed lifelessly to the ground. Lin Yuxi let out a blood-curdling scream at the gruesome sight and instinctively threw herself into Yi Xiaoyu's arms, trembling in fear. Yi Xiaoyu couldn't help but notice how soft and fragrant she was, her full figure pressing against him in all the right places. It was a bit much, even for him. But now wasn't the time to think about that. Amidst the chaos, Yi Xiaoyu's attention was drawn to something glowing on the ground near her husband's body. What's that? Walking over, Yi Xiaoyu picked up a shimmering green vial. Item, obedience water. Description, once consumed, the drinker will be compelled to obey the host's commands. Any thoughts of rebellion will result in excruciating pain, or even death. Additionally, all abilities gained by the drinker will be returned to the host at a 1:1 ratio. Obedience water? Yi Xiaoyu was stunned by the description. If not for the system's detailed explanation, he might have thought this was some shady concoction. What's more, the idea of gaining a 1:1 return on any abilities the drinker acquired was incredibly tempting. Wah! I was so scared. Lin Yuxi was still sobbing, clinging to Yi Xiaoyu for comfort. It's all right now, Yi Xiaoyu said, patting her shoulder. He guided her into his apartment, closing the door behind them. Once inside, Lin Yuxi sat on a chair, gasping for air as she tried to calm herself. Her thin silk pajamas left little to the imagination, and her slender, snow-white legs were completely exposed. Noticing Yi Xiaoyu's gaze, Lin Yuxi's cheeks flushed, and she instinctively crossed her legs, looking flustered. Hi, I'm your neighbor. My name is Lin Yuxi. I know, Yi Xiaoyu replied nonchalantly. You know me? Lin Yuxi blinked in surprise. She hadn't expected the seemingly ordinary guy to remember her. Suddenly, Yi Xiaoyu pulled out the vial of obedience water and handed it to her. What's this? She asked, looking at him with wide, suspicious eyes. Obedience water, he replied bluntly. What? Obedience water? Her face turned bright red. Misunderstanding the name, she backed away nervously, pressing herself against the wall and squeezing her legs together. You're not thinking of doing that to me, are you? Isn't this the apocalypse? Do we really need to use something like this? Yi Xiaoyu couldn't help but laugh at her cautious demeanor. Come on, it's the apocalypse. If I wanted to do something, do you think I'd need to use any tricks? This isn't that. This potion will make sure you don't betray me. If you even think about it, you'll suffer agonizing pain. And possibly die. What? Lin Yuxi's face went pale. She couldn't tell if he was bluffing or not. But considering her current situation, she figured it was better to trust him than face the zombies outside. Grimacing, she took the vial and downed its contents in one gulp. At first, nothing happened. Lin Yuxi smirked, mockingly. Is that it? This obedience water doesn't seem to do anything. Were you just trying to scare me? She thought to herself, once my father and his people rescue me, I'll make sure you pay for this humiliation. But as soon as the rebellious thought crossed her mind, excruciating pain coursed through her body. She let out a cry and collapsed to the ground, clutching her chest. Well, I guess it really works, Yizayu said, smiling smugly as he watched her writhe in pain. You were serious? Lin Yuxi stammered, trembling. As the rebellious thought faded from her mind, the pain subsided. Before she could recover fully, Yizayu grabbed her by the neck and pinned her against the wall. Do you really think you can betray me? He asked coldly, his handsome face mere inches from hers. No. I wasn't. I only had a fleeting thought to teach you a lesson. She stammered, tears streaming down her face. Well, it seems even thoughts are out of the question, Yizayu mused. Lin Yuxi trembled, realizing she had no choice. To survive, she would have to obey. Chapter 4, Drink a bottle of water, get 100 bottles in return. An hour later. Here, take this. Yizayu tossed a bottle of water to Lin Yuxi. To be fair, Lin Yuxi, who had been busy all this time, was indeed thirsty. But seriously? That's it? Just one bottle of water? Drink it or don't. If you don't, you're not getting another. I'll drink. Afraid Yizayu might take even this bottle away, Lin Yuxi quickly gulped down a few mouthfuls. As she drank, a pleasant notification sounded in Yizayu's ears. Ding. Target Lin Yuxi has consumed a bottle of Beizhui Mountain mineral water. You have received 100-fold return, 100 bottles. The moment the notification ended, Yizayu discovered that his space ring had magically gained an additional 100 bottles of mineral water. Sure enough. Seeing the return supply, Yizayu was inwardly thrilled. This meant that from now on, he'd never have to worry about running out of food. All he needed was to let this woman eat or drink something, and he'd get 100-fold return. And if she couldn't finish everything, well, he could always find a few more women. This is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Still, Yizayu couldn't help but be curious. System, earlier Lin Yuxi drank a bottle of obedience water, so why wasn't it returned? The system's reply was straightforward. Items selected by the system for release are not eligible for return. Only ordinary food and drink consumed by others can be returned. Oh, so that's how it works. Yizayu nodded in understanding. The system also added, items returned via the 100-fold return system cannot be consumed again by the same individual for additional returns. Yizayu got it now. Basically, the bottle of water Lin Yuxi drank and the 100 returned bottles couldn't be given to her to trigger another return. Only new items he collected himself would work. That made sense to Yizayu. After all, if it could work infinitely, that would be like cheating the system forever. After exiting the communication with the system, Yizayu noticed Lin Yuxi, who had just finished some exercise, was staring at him with a strange look on her face. His unusual behavior had clearly caught her attention. What are you looking at? And nothing. Under someone else's roof, one has no choice but to bow their head. Frightened, Lin Yuxi quickly lowered her gaze, not daring to meet Yizayu's eyes. One more look, and he might just teach her a lesson again. That's enough. With obedience water in play, Yizayu wasn't afraid of any betrayal. Plus, he was exhausted from working so long. So he told Lin Yuxi, you'll keep watch tonight. I'm going to get a few hours of sleep. Huh? Lin Yuxi's beautiful eyes widened with grievance. What? You're asking a young, beautiful woman? No, a newlywed. To keep watch at night? What? You have a problem with that? But as soon as Yizayu raised an eyebrow, Lin Yuxi caved completely. She hurriedly waved her hands and said, pitifully, no, I'll keep watch. That's more like it. Seeing how obedient Lin Yuxi was, Yizayu finally looked satisfied. This was the apocalypse. She was lucky he'd taken her in at all. What did she expect? To be treated like a princess? What a joke. The tension from earlier eased, and Yizayu felt his nerves relax. After a night of chaos, exhaustion hit him hard, and he quickly fell into a deep sleep. Lin Yuxi, on the other hand, sat curled up on the sofa nearby. Her thoughts, shadowed by the pain she'd felt earlier, made her abandon any plans to secretly scheme against Yizayu again. By the time dawn broke the next morning, Yizayu stretched lazily as he woke up. That feels great. Then he noticed Lin Yuxi asleep, curled up on the sofa. Yizayu shook his head, a little annoyed. Seriously? I told you to keep watch, and you ended up falling asleep? But since the front door was sealed tight and no zombies could get in, he let it slide. Time to wake up. Yizayu walked over and gave her a gentle shake. Huh? I just closed my eyes for a second. I was awake all night, I swear. Startled, Lin Yuxi immediately woke up, waving her pale hands in panic. In her sleepwear, she looked flustered but rather adorable. Yizayu didn't comment and simply tossed her a piece of bread. For me? Seeing Yizayu's unexpected generosity, Lin Yuxi froze, a look of gratitude crossing her face before she began eating quickly. After the ordeal of the previous day, she was genuinely starving. She devoured the bread with none of her usual grace, finishing it in no time. Rubbing her stomach, she looked embarrassed. Still hungry? Yi Xiaoyu tossed her another piece of bread. Lin Yuxi froze, staring at the bread in her hands. Overcome with emotion, she looked at Yi Xiaoyu. In this apocalypse, he was willing to share not one but two pieces of bread with her. My god, Yi Xiaoyu is such a good person. But Lin Yuxi quickly shook her head, pressing the bread back into Yi Xiaoyu's hands. Her delicate face showed concern. I shouldn't eat anymore. You should save some for yourself. It's the apocalypse out there. If we waste food, we'll starve. Starve? Yi Xiaoyu laughed. That's not happening. Just eat. The more she ate, the more supplies he'd get. Unaware of his true intentions, Lin Yuxi was so moved she nearly cried. Yi Xiaoyu, even in times like this, you still care about me. Watching her cry her heart out, Yi Xiaoyu was dumbfounded. It's just bread, why so emotional? Alright, eat up. You'll need your strength to work. Okay. As Lin Yuxi ate, she silently vowed to repay Yi Xiaoyu for his kindness. But Yi Xiaoyu didn't care about her thoughts. He was solely focused on the 100-fold return. In no time, he had gained 200 pieces of bread. If Lin Yuxi knew what was really on his mind, she'd probably be speechless. To him, she was just a food multiplier. After breakfast, which included 2 pieces of bread, a sausage, and a bottle of water, Yi Xiaoyu filled his stomach with some of the food from his space ring. Heading to the balcony, he glanced outside and noticed the number of zombies in the Xingfu residential complex had increased since yesterday. Among them were elderly zombies, child zombies, and even some zombie pets wandering aimlessly. The pet zombies, especially the dogs, sniffed the air with unnerving accuracy, as if trying to locate any hidden humans. Occasionally, their bodies trembled violently, as though under some kind of control. Chapter 5, A Spark Matrix? Wait, this thing can drop too? When Yi Xiaoyu powered on his phone, he discovered that the network was still operational. A pleasant surprise. But he knew this wouldn't last long. The outbreak had just begun, and the signal towers were still functional. Any moment now, the network could go down entirely. For now, Yi Xiaoyu opened the residents' group chat to check the situation in Xingfu residential complex. The group was in utter chaos, flooded with messages about yesterday's apocalyptic outbreak. Many people were begging for help, describing their dire circumstances. Several had already succumbed to the disaster, including the local neighborhood committee's Aunt Wang, who reported that even the Hueco City Police Department had been overrun. Currently, the entire city was in a state of complete abandonment. However, Yi Xiaoyu had little interest in these pleas for help. He hardly knew anyone in this complex, aside from Zhao Dan, the property manager. In addition to the group messages, Yi Xiaoyu noticed a series of official alerts. Attention, the mysterious blood moon carries a terrifying biochemical radiation. Any humans or animals exposed to it will transform into bloodthirsty monsters. Please exercise extreme caution and avoid going outdoors. As of now, large-scale infections have been reported worldwide. Off the coast of a certain island nation, the corpse of a mysterious creature has been discovered. Rumors suggest that deep-sea beasts may be emerging from the abyss. This is worse than I thought. Beside him, Lin Yuxi's delicate face turned pale as she read the updates. She couldn't help but voice her shock. It looks like survival is up to us now, Yi Xiaoyu muttered to himself, glancing at her. With his current abilities and the system's chi-like features, he knew he could secure a stable future for himself. Even in an apocalypse. But Lin Yuxi grew more anxious. Gripping Yi Xiaoyu's arm with her fair hands, she asked nervously, what should we do next? Relax, Yi Xiaoyu said with a smile as he looked at the stunning woman. He already had a plan. Step 1, keep killing zombies to level up. Step 2, gather more supplies. Step 3, before things completely collapse, find a few more women with a beauty score above 95. Only by maximizing the 100-fold return could he accumulate enough resources to thrive in this world. Without wasting words, Yi Xiaoyu grabbed the autumn leaf blade and turned to Lin Yuxi. You stay here and wait. I'm heading out to gather more supplies. Then, without another word, he opened the door and stepped out. The moment he exited, a zombie lunged at him with a guttural growl. Yi Xiaoyu smirked coldly, sidestepped swiftly, and swung his blade in a single, clean motion. Thud. The zombie's head rolled to the ground, and as it hit the floor, flames engulfed it instantly, reducing it to ashes. At the same time, Yi Xiaoyu's stats increased by 3 points. Then, with a ding, a small, glowing red object dropped onto the ground. What's this? Yi Xiaoyu's eyes narrowed in surprise. It was glowing red. The system had explained before that dropped items were ranked by color, white being the lowest, followed by green, blue, and higher. His autumn leaf blade, for instance, was blue grade. But now, he had just picked up a red grade item. Yizayu quickly ran over and retrieved the object. It turned out to be a strange, cube-like device. As he read the system's prompt, he froze in astonishment. Item name, Spark Energy Core, grade, red, description, when used, grants the ability to activate Cybertronian life forms, becoming a true creator. Limited to 1 activation per day, classified as top-tier gear, hiss. A spark core? Yizayu's face turned into a mix of disbelief and amazement. Wasn't this the matrix of leadership from Transformers? Wait, this thing can actually drop? System, is there anything you can't drop? Anyone familiar with Transformers knew about the Cybertronian planet and the matrix of leadership, which could awaken Transformers. But now, it was in his hands. What did this mean? Could he really activate a Transformer? Damn. In an apocalypse, having a Transformer as powerful as Optimus Prime would make zombies seem like nothing. To test its authenticity, Yizayu decided to head to the underground parking lot. After pocketing the spark core, he carried the autumn leaf blade and jogged toward the parking area. The parking lot wasn't empty. It had a few zombies. Yizayu dealt with them swiftly before scanning the vehicles. This wasn't a high-end neighborhood, but even here, there were hidden gems. Among the usual cars, Buick, Cadillac, Japanese models, and German brands like BMW, Mercedes, and Audi. Yizayu searched for the perfect candidate. Following movie logic, larger vehicles typically had higher combat potential. Eventually, he settled on a Ford Raptor pickup truck. It wasn't the most expensive car, but its sturdy build made it a promising choice. Slowly, Yizayu placed the spark core against the Raptor's body. The moment it touched, something incredible happened. A ripple of blue energy pulsed outward, and in the next second, mechanical sounds echoed, vroom. Clang clang clang. Before his eyes, the previously quiet Ford Raptor began to transform at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just moments, a massive, 7 to 8 meter tall mechanical giant stood before him. But due to the low ceiling of the parking lot, the giant's head slammed into it with a loud bang. Ah! Damn it! What kind of cramped place is this? Disoriented by the collision, the mechanical giant crouched down, holding its head in frustration. However, when its glowing blue mechanical eyes focused on Yizayu, it immediately showed utmost respect. Cybertronian warrior, at your service, honorable creator. Staring at the massive being in front of him, Yizayu was utterly shocked. Its robust metallic frame, enormous arms, glowing blue eyes, and a giant energy cannon mounted to its side. At least half a meter long. Were awe-inspiring. This thing's firepower could rival a missile. Chapter 6, Are you crazy? You want me to call you master? At the same time, a set of data appeared right before Yizayu's eyes. Name, Cybertronian Mechanical Warrior. Level, 1. Unit type, Ground Forces. Strength, 1000. Defense, 3000. Firepower, 3000. Description, a powerful warrior from the mysterious and distant star system of Cybertron, boasting terrifying firepower and exceptional defense. Loyalty, absolute. Hiss. Seeing this data, Yizayu couldn't help but take a sharp breath. It actually worked. He had really activated a 7-meter-tall transformer? Damn, with this thing, why would he fear zombies? Wouldn't he just steamroll through them? And a strength value of 1000. What did that even mean? A normal person's strength was around 10, or about 80 kilograms. But this guy had a strength of 1000, which translated to 8000 kilograms. That was the kind of power to casually lift 4 small cars. At that moment. Roar. Suddenly, the sound of zombie growls echoed from not far away. Snapping back to reality, Yizayu turned his head to see that the commotion here had evidently attracted the attention of several zombies. They were staggering their way over. Fortunately, the pickup truck had noticed. Creator, please stay put. I'll handle this. With a deep, mechanical voice, the pickup raised an arm to shield Yizayu. In the next moment, accompanied by the grinding sounds of mechanical gears, its arm transformed into a massive energy cannon. With an impressively cool maneuver, the cannon flipped into position and aimed directly at the zombies. Hum. Boom. A single shot, and a blue energy shell surged forth. The entire underground parking lot seemed to quake. The massive energy pulse shattered the glass of every car nearby. The scene was utterly breathtaking. As for the 4 zombies approaching, they didn't even have a chance to resist. In an instant, they were vaporized. The ground was left with a massive crater. Hiss. This terrifying power left Yizayu in awe once again. So this was the strength of a transformer. At this moment, after taking care of the zombies, the pickup turned back with concern. Creator, are you alright? No, I'm fine. Snapping out of his thoughts, Yizayu couldn't help but laugh. With such a towering colossus at his side, how could he worry about surviving the apocalypse? Of course, he didn't forget his main objective, finding a woman with a beauty score of 95 or above. While he now had protection, he still needed food and water. The 100-fold return system was the real key. With it, he could practically generate 2 or 3 months' worth of supplies on demand. But who should he choose? Thinking about it, the only top-tier beauty in this building was Lin Yuxi. There probably wasn't anyone better in the entire Xingfu residential complex. Oh, wait. Actually, in the whole complex, it'd be hard to find anyone matching Lin Yuxi's caliber. Even so, as stunning as Lin Yuxi was, her score was only 95. This system's standards are really high. Muttering to himself, Yizayu soon thought of another woman. Lizian. Yes, his company's boss. Supposedly a rich second-generation heiress, she'd started her own business after refusing to go along with her father's plans. This woman was proud, arrogant, and dismissive of others. Especially Yizayu. Thinking about her lofty, snobbish attitude, he couldn't help but feel irritated. He opened WeChat and scrolled through her posts. Sure enough, she was still alive and had recently posted, "Anyone still alive? I'm trapped in my company's office on Hueco Street in Building A. If someone can save me, I'll pay them 1 million. Useless people stay away. Don't want you failing and dragging me down. Hey." Reading the post, Yizayu chuckled to himself. Even in times like these, this woman still managed to be so annoying. Perfect? You'll do. Yizayu decided to check if Lizian met the system's criteria. If she did, he'd have another milk cow at home. With that in mind, Yizayu didn't waste any time and said to the pickup, "From now on, your name is Ironhide. Let's go out for a bit." "Yes, creator." Obeying the command, the pickup, now officially Ironhide, transformed back into a Ford Raptor amidst the grinding of gears. With a deep engine growl, it roared out of the underground parking lot, taking Yizayu with it. Meanwhile, on the 25th floor of Building A in an office, Lizian cowered in fear. Dressed in a black women's suit with Parisian black stockings, her short hair perfectly framed her flawless, delicate face. However, her expression was pale, and she didn't dare make a sound, afraid that even the slightest noise might attract the zombies. Image, Lizian, her only option was to keep frantically using her phone to call for help. But no matter how many times she tried, her father wasn't answering. "Dad, why aren't you answering your phone? Where are you?" Lizian sobbed uncontrollably, her tears flowing like a broken dam. Her usual spoiled and domineering demeanor had completely vanished. Thankfully, in this desperate moment, she still had her devoted admirer. Zhang Zi, the son of a prominent real estate tycoon in Huihai City, had messaged her as soon as he learned about her predicament. He told her not to worry and promised to find a way to rescue her. But after waiting for what felt like an eternity, there was no sign of him. As Lizian began muttering to herself, wondering if that jerk might have died, she suddenly heard a faint click. The door to her office moved slightly. Her heart tightened as she clutched a badminton racket she'd grabbed as a weapon, crouching under her desk. With a shaky voice, she called out, "Who's there?" Soon, a voice came from outside. "It's me. I'm here to save you." "Huh? Zhang Zi?" Lizian thought the voice sounded familiar. Believing it was Zhang Zi, her heart leapt with joy. She rushed to the door. "Wait a second, I'll open it now." As she unlocked the door, she grumbled, "What took you so long? I was scared to death just now. If you're this slow next time, don't even think about chasing me again." Excited and annoyed, Lizian swung the door open. But the moment she saw the person standing there, her expression froze, then turned sour. "It's you, Yizayu. What are you doing here?" "Oh, really?" Hearing her words, Yizayu chuckled. Even at a time like this, she was still putting on airs like some spoiled princess. "Well, since you don't need me, I'll just leave." "Wait, don't." Lizian's heart sank at his words. As the boss of her company, she had always looked down on Yizayu, thinking of him as a nobody. If it weren't for his low salary, she would have fired him long ago. But now, she had no choice. She really needed him. Taking a deep breath, Lizian softened her tone, her voice tinged with a rare trace of gentleness. "Fine. Just get me out of here first, all right? Once we're safe, I'll fulfill my promise." She assumed Yizayu had come for the 1 million yuan reward. After all, what was a million if it meant surviving? Promise? Money. Hearing this, Yizayu couldn't help but laugh. "Do you really think your little stash of cash still matters at a time like this?" "What? What do you mean?" Lizian froze at his response. "No rush. Yizayu calmly locked the door behind him. Then, settling into her office chair, he gave her a once-over. Let me check the goods first. There was no denying it. This woman was a rare beauty. Unlike Lin Yuxi, who exuded a gentle, wifely charm, Lizian embodied the sharp, professional allure of a female CEO. Her outfit and demeanor radiated youthful vitality, and with the system's evaluation screen opening before him, Yizayu smirked. He had a thing for uniforms. Name, Lizian. Age, 22. Height, 168 centimeters. Weight, 54 kilograms. Evaluation, stunning looks, great figure. Score, 95. Just made the cut. As expected, the data made Yizayu's eyes light up. Though her personality was far from ideal, her appearance was undeniably top tier. That was all that mattered for now. As for her attitude, he could slowly adjust that. What are you checking for? Still oblivious to her current situation, Lizian's tone remained haughty. Stop wasting time and get me out of here. Don't you want that 1 million? Slap. Before she could finish, Yizayu's hand connected with her cheek. Stunned, Lizian clutched her reddening face, her expression one of disbelief. You actually hit me? Slap. Another slap landed, leaving another mark on her fair cheek. Yizayu. Slap. This time, Yizayu struck her with a backhanded slap. Lizian covered her burning face, her chest heaving with anger. Tears brimmed in her eyes as fury and humiliation surged within her. This lowlife. How dare he hit her? Even her father, who'd always been strict, had never laid a hand on her. She had always been the cherished jewel of her family, used to being the one dishing out slaps, not taking them. But Lizian wasn't stupid. After 3 consecutive slaps, she wisely shut her mouth. She could only glare at Yizayu with eyes that practically blazed with fury. Now, I'll give you one more chance. Yizayu didn't seem to care in the slightest. Crossing his legs, he leaned back in the chair and motioned for her to come closer. What should you call me? Yizayu. Call me Master. Master? Lizian's brows furrowed. Was he insane? Did he really dare demand that she call him Master? Chapter 7, Lizian, you hit me again. Do you even know what you're saying? I'm the daughter of the president of Hueco Mechanical Engineering Group. And you dare demand that I call you Master? Lizian's chest rose and fell with anger as she pointed at Yizayu with her slender fingers, her melodious voice sharp with indignation. Yizayu didn't waste any time. He dragged her to the window and pressed her against it. Ah! Seeing the dense horde of zombies below, Lizian was so terrified she nearly fainted. Her beautiful eyes were wide with panic. She hadn't imagined the situation outside could be this severe. No. She flailed her hands, terrified Yizayu might throw her out. After all, with a world in chaos like this, it wasn't like killing someone was illegal anymore. A horrifying realization struck her. This was no longer a peaceful era. Sure enough, Yizayu's voice came from behind her. If you don't want to die, then you should know what to do by now. Yizayu turned and sat on the couch, his calm eyes scrutinizing the beautiful CEO who had exploited him for 3 years. Lizian's chest heaved in rage, but in the end, she knew she had no choice. With no better option, she bit her lip and, in a voice laced with humiliation, uttered the 2 words she'd never imagined herself saying. Master. That's more like it. Yizayu crossed his legs and smirked in satisfaction. Women needed to be trained. Otherwise, their defiance could get him killed someday. At that moment, Lizian wanted nothing more than to kill the man before her. But there was nothing she could do. Right now, she had to rely on this scumbag to get out of here. Just you wait. Once I get out of here and find my father, I'll have him deal with you. Lizian fumed inwardly, her heart seething with murderous intent. But then, as she glanced up at Yizayu, her expression froze. What are you doing? If you don't want to die, then kneel. Lizian was so angry she almost passed out again. But the thought of the zombie horde outside forced her to swallow her pride. Fine. She convinced herself it was all for survival. Just temporary humiliation. An hour later, Yizayu finally led the flustered Lizian out of the office. But the moment they stepped out of the building, she regretted it. The area around the office building was swarming with zombies, their guttural growls filling the air. Lizian's face turned pale as she took in the horrifying scene. This wasn't a place humans could survive. How were they supposed to get out of here? With no other choice, she quickly followed Yizayu, sticking close to him like glue, terrified of being left behind as zombie food. Ironhide was already waiting nearby. Seeing Yizayu approach, he immediately opened the car door. Before Yizayu could get in, rustling sounds and voices came from not far away. Hurry up, damn it. You're slowing me down. If you mess up my rescue mission for my goddess, I'll kill you. Come on, boss, don't be so impatient. Look at all these zombies. We've got to move quietly. Bah, what's there to be afraid of? These zombies are slow as hell. They're no real threat. A group of people appeared, led by a young man in full tactical gear. The moment Lysia saw the leader, her eyes lit up as if she'd spotted her savior. She whispered excitedly, Zhongzi. Huh? Hearing his name, the young man looked over, and his eyes brightened. It was Zhongzi, the son of the president of Gzihai Construction Company. When the zombie outbreak began, he'd been hiding in his family's villa basement with plenty of food, water, and bodyguards to ensure his safety. But the moment he saw Lysia's plea for help, he couldn't resist and rushed to rescue her. Despite the fear, he'd managed to kill 2 zombies along the way, though it had scared him senseless. Now, seeing Lysia dressed in her sleek black suit, he was awestruck. Even amidst the apocalypse, she looked stunning, her outfit exuding a professional allure. Xian, are you okay? Zhongzi asked, but then his expression darkened. Xian, your face. It's nothing. Not wanting to explain the slaps she'd received, Lysia took a deep breath and smiled faintly. I tripped upstairs. It's no big deal. Tripped. Zhongzi paused, his eyes narrowing as fury flickered in them. What kind of trip leaves 2 perfect handprints on someone's face? His gaze shifted to Yizayu, and his voice turned icy. Who was he? Did he do this to you? He. Lysia didn't want anyone knowing what had happened, so she replied coldly, he's just one of my employees. An employee? Zhongzi's expression twisted. So, you 2 spent the night together? In the office? Looking at the handprints on Lysia's face, he quickly jumped to conclusions. His lips curled into a mocking smile. Oh, I see how it is, Lysia. You and this guy. What nonsense are you talking about? Lysia's face flushed red with embarrassment. She glared at Zhongzi. Don't forget you've been chasing me for 3 years. 3 years? Ha. Zhongzi laughed disdainfully. I chased you because of your looks and your family's wealth. But now? You think I'll still want you after this? Keep dreaming. Taking a step forward, he loomed over Lysia, who instinctively backed away. What are you doing? She demanded, her voice trembling. What am I doing? Haha. Zhongzi's gaze shifted to Yizayu. You shouldn't have messed with me, kid. Now that it's the apocalypse, I could kill you, and no one would care. At his signal, his lackeys closed in, wielding iron rods. Zhongzi sneered. But I'm a nice guy. If you kneel, admit your mistake, and hand Lysia over to me, I might just spare you. Wow, you sure talk a lot. Yizayu remained calm, completely unfazed by the group. He casually patted the pickup truck beside him. Ironhide. Yes, creator. The next second. Whir. Boom. Clank, clank, clank. Amidst the grinding of gears, Ironhide transformed into his towering, 7-meter-tall robot form. What the fuck is that? Zhongzi's group froze in terror at the sight of the massive alien-like robot. Kill them. Yes, creator. Ironhide didn't hesitate. Pulling out his energy cannon, he fired. Hum. Boom. The explosion shook the ground, the energy blast obliterating 3 men instantly. The remaining 2 tried to flee but were quickly vaporized by another blast. As the zombies began to converge, Yizayu decided it wasn't worth staying. We're leaving. Yes, creator. Ironhide transformed back into the pickup. Yizayu dragged the dazed Lysia into the truck, and with a roar of the engine, they sped away. Inside the vehicle, Lysia finally snapped out of her stupor. Stop the car. Let me out. This wasn't just a truck. It was some terrifying alien. She struggled to escape, but Yizayu slapped her across the face again. You hit me again. Clutching her reddened cheek, Lysia stared at Yizayu in disbelief. What was the point of all she'd endured earlier if this was how things were going to be? Chapter 8, Bigger, pricier vehicles mean greater power earlier? Of course that was her reward. Sitting in the driver's seat, Yizayu gave Lysia a warning glance and said coldly, if you keep babbling, I'll have him take care of you too. Hearing this, Lysia immediately recalled the gruesome fate of those people just moments ago. She sensibly clamped her mouth shut, though her trembling body betrayed her fear. Seeing Lysia behave so obediently, Yizayu reached out to lift her chin with his hand, smiling wickedly. That's better. Be obedient if you want to live. Disobey, and you'll die. I understand. I understand. In Lysia's eyes, Yizayu was no different from a devil. Terrified, she nodded like a chicken pecking at grain. Seeing that she had finally settled down, Yizayu returned to the driver's seat. After witnessing the overwhelming firepower of Ironhide earlier, He had gained a new appreciation for this hulking machine. Damn, one shot obliterates a zombie. One shot wipes out a human too. Is there no limit to this thing's power? If one was already this strong, what about another one? As this thought crossed his mind, Yizayu mentally asked the system, how is the strength of a Transformers unit activated by the Matrix module determined? The system quickly responded, host, the strength of an activated Cybertronian life form is primarily determined by the size and price of its host vehicle. For example, an ordinary car cannot compare to a large pickup truck, and a large pickup truck cannot match the combat power of a multi-million-dollar sports car. For prolonged battles, engine performance is key, while for large-scale destruction, size matters most. Oh, I see, Yizayu nodded. So basically, the bigger and pricier the vehicle, the stronger it is. The system continued, that's correct. Additionally, vehicles with inherent destructive power, such as tanks, armored vehicles, fighter jets, and helicopters, will become even more powerful when activated. I get it now. Yizayu mulled over this newfound knowledge, summarizing it in one sentence, the bigger and pricier the vehicle, the stronger it is, with military vehicles being the strongest of all. It looks like I'll need to figure out a way to get my hands on a few tanks or armored vehicles, Yizayu thought to himself. Meanwhile, Zhongzi, who had narrowly escaped, was speeding back to his family's shelter with one remaining lackey. Back at the villa district, it had been fortified like an impenetrable fortress. Many company employees guarded the area, and scattered zombie corpses lay outside, evidence of a fierce cleanup operation. Seeing Zhongzi's car approach, a security guard hurried to open the gate. Quick, it's the young master. Open the gate. With a rumbling sound, the gate slowly opened. Zhongzi parked the car in the courtyard and stumbled out, his legs almost giving out beneath him. Fortunately, the butler reacted quickly and supported him. Young master, what happened to you? Quick, quick. Zhongzi's legs were trembling uncontrollably. No joke, who had ever seen a 7 or 8 meter tall mechanical monster before? It was terrifying. 2 shots had vaporized 6 people instantly. If he hadn't hidden in a corner, he'd be gone too. He would never forget that horrifying scene. Alien creatures. Alien creatures. Using the last of his strength, Zhongzi roared at the butler, take me to my father. Now. Why yes, sir. Although the butler didn't understand what had rattled the young master, he immediately helped him, with the aid of 2 others, into the villa's underground bunker. Inside the underground bunker, Zhong Tanyang, the head of the Zhong Corporation, sat leisurely in the well-furnished shelter, sipping red wine and watching the sparse remaining satellite channels to monitor the outside world. Around him were maids dressed in maid uniforms and over a dozen heavily armed security personnel, all carrying firearms. Zhong Tanyang had known about the apocalyptic event a week in advance, after spotting abnormal weather patterns. When the outbreak first occurred in certain areas, he began stockpiling supplies, enough food for over 1,000 people for a year, along with mineral water, beverages, meat, a mini power plant, and large-scale generators. He had invested tens of millions, and it was paying off. When the apocalypse broke out, he immediately retreated to the bunker with over 100 trusted subordinates. Master. Just as Zhong Tanyang was savoring his wine, the butler rushed in with Zhongzi, whose legs were still trembling. Young master. Young master is in trouble. Zhong Tanyang frowned at the sight of his son in such a pathetic state. What happened? Why are you so scared, Zhaozi? There are aliens. Zhongzi stammered as he collapsed onto the sofa, his voice shaking. What? Aliens? Zhong Tanyang was stunned, thinking his son must have been scared senseless. What nonsense are you talking about? How could there be aliens? Although the apocalypse had brought mutated zombies and animals due to the virus, aliens were out of the question. It's true. It's true. Zhongzi gulped down some water to steady his nerves before recounting what had happened. Zhong Tanyang's expression shifted slightly as he listened to the story, but he relaxed when he heard about the firepower that supposedly killed 3 or 4 people in one shot. Huh, I thought it was something serious. You must have mistaken it for some heavily modified weapon. A modified weapon? Zhongzi blinked at his father. Exactly. Zhong Tanyang chuckled, dismissing his son's fear. It's not a big deal. Modified vehicles with advanced weapons can kill several people in one go. Tanks can do even more damage. It's nothing extraordinary. If Zhong Tanyang had known it was a transformer, he wouldn't have been so dismissive. But even if it's a modified weapon, what if it attacks our estate? Can we stop it? Zhongzi asked nervously. Attack our estate? Zhong Tanyang's gaze turned sharp before he laughed disdainfully. You think a souped-up pickup truck could take us down? We've got over 100 people here. What's there to fear? Besides, he added with a smirk, we have weapons of our own. We do? Zhang Zi was stunned. Of course. Zhang Danying didn't hide it anymore. He smiled as he explained, before the apocalypse, I smuggled in a batch of tanks, armored vehicles, and 2 armed helicopters. These weapons, costing him 300 million, had been his secret weapon for surviving and thriving post-apocalypse. Because customs inspections were strict before the outbreak, they were held offshore. But now that the apocalypse is here, your uncle has brought them back, along with your cousins who were studying abroad. They'll be here within a week. When the weapons arrived, not even a real tank could breach their defenses, let alone some modified truck. With all this firepower, we'll dominate Hueco City. Zhang Danying declared confidently. Zhang Zi's spirits lifted instantly. With tanks, cannons, and helicopters on their side, no one could stand against them. Not even that monstrous pickup truck. Just wait, Zhang Zi thought, clenching his fists and recalling Li Xian, I'll make you pay for taking her from me. Chapter 9, A Truly Mysterious Item. At this moment, Yi Xiu had no idea someone was already plotting against him. But even if he did, he wouldn't care. With Ironhide at his side, not to mention a small villa, even a military base wouldn't pose a challenge. And by tomorrow, there'd be another one joining him. The day after that? Another. With that confidence, Yi Xiu brought Li Xian back to his residential complex. Sitting in the car, Li Xian observed the wandering zombies and the neighborhood's surroundings, curious if this was where Yi Xiu usually lived. As they parked, a zombie suddenly roared and charged out from the stairwell. Ah! Li Xian instinctively clung to Yi Xiu in fear. Unbothered, Yi Xiu casually took out the autumn leaf blade from his space ring. With a clean slash, the zombie's head was severed, and the creature burst into flames, reduced to ashes within seconds. Li Xian was stunned. What kind of weapon is that? It can even burn zombies to ash? Yi Xiu wasn't concerned about the weapon's display. Instead, his eyes lit up as he noticed a flash of green light where the zombie had turned to ash. It dropped something. He stepped forward to pick it up and saw, item name, Obedience Water +1, another bottle of Obedience Water. Seeing this, Yi Xiu smirked. Looks like my luck is pretty good, he mused, storing the item before leading Li Xian upstairs. When they entered the apartment, a fragrant breeze greeted them, and Lin Yuxi threw herself into Yi Xiu's arms. Wah, Yi Xiu, you're finally back. It's been 2 hours. I was so worried. What would I do if you didn't come back? Her soft embrace caught Yi Xiu off guard. She was, indeed, very soft. But he quickly pushed her away. I brought back a new companion for you. What are you worried about? See companion? Lin Yuxi's pretty face froze as she noticed Li Xian standing awkwardly nearby. Realizing how affectionate she'd been in front of a stranger, her cheeks flushed red, and she quickly let go of Yi Xiu. Li Xian, however, was confused. Wait. Yi Xiu already has someone? Then why did he bring me here? Despite her confidence in her own beauty, Li Xian was surprised by Lin Yuxi's soft elegance, which carried a hint of noble grace. This woman's looks rival mine, she thought begrudgingly. Sensing the tension, Lin Yuxi spoke with a slight pang of disappointment. So, you risked so much to rescue her? She couldn't help but wonder if this meant Li Xian was someone Yi Xiu truly cared about. Li Xian was stunned again. Yi Xiu risked his life. Just to save me? Just as her heart began to flutter, Yi Xiu's blunt words shattered the moment. Rescue her? Huh, she has her uses, that's all. Li Xian's face flushed with anger. You. Am I that worthless in your eyes? She thought furiously. Here, eat something, Yi Xiu said, tossing a bottle of milk, a banana, and some bread at Li Xian. Her stomach growled as she looked at the food. She hadn't eaten since yesterday, and hunger quickly overpowered her indignation. Without another thought, she devoured the food. Meanwhile, Yi Xiu was delighted to hear the system notification, ding. You fed Li Xian 1 banana, 1 piece of bread, and 1 bottle of milk. Rewards returned, 100 bananas, 100 French bread loaves, and 100 bottles of milk. Watching the supplies pour into his space ring, Yi Xiu smiled contentedly. Looking down at Li Xian, he asked, want more? Can I? Li Xian hesitated, her hunger still gnawing at her. Open your mouth, Yi Xiu said. The next second, Li Xian found herself forced to drink the obedience water. What did you just give me? She demanded, gagging as she glared at him. Obedience water, Yi Xiu replied with a polite smile. I just picked it up. Don't you remember? Despair filled Li Xian's heart. Does he think this is the time for that kind of thing? But before she could fully panic, Lin Yuxi chimed in softly, don't resist. If you have hostile thoughts toward Yi Xiu, it'll hurt. A lot. Li Xian scoffed. What nonsense. There's no way. Her words trailed off as an excruciating pain gripped her, and she collapsed to the ground. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she trembled in agony. It's real? Well. Yizayu leaned back on the sofa, amused by her plight. Seems like you've got quite a bit of hostility toward me. Lin Yuxi blushed in embarrassment, remembering her own experience the day before. Just stop scheming against him, she advised gently. If you don't think bad thoughts, the pain will go away. Taking her words to heart, Lizian struggled to suppress her resentment. To her surprise, the pain gradually subsided. Opening her eyes, she saw no visible harm, only the bloodied marks her nails had left on her palms during the ordeal. She stared in disbelief, her mind racing. What kind of mysterious thing is this? Chapter 10, Is that gun even legit? Lin Yuxi let out a sigh of relief as the situation settled, lightly pressing her lips together. I told you earlier, but you didn't believe me. Now you do, right? I do. I won't dare badmouth you ever again, woo-wah-woo, Lizian whimpered, on the verge of tears. Just how many of these terrifying things does he have? At this point, she didn't dare resist Yizayu in the slightest. That's more like it, Yizayu said with satisfaction as he stood. Alright, I'm heading out to gather some supplies and level up. One of you is coming with me. His gaze landed on Lizian. Ugh, me again? She asked, pointing at herself with a pitiful expression. She had barely sat down before being dragged out again. Got a problem with that? And no, none at all. Startled, she waved her hands nervously, adjusted her tight skirt, and obediently stood to follow him. Satisfied, Yizayu turned to Lin Yuxi and instructed, while the gas is still running, cook something. Soon, we might not even have warm meals. Since consuming resources triggered the system's 100-fold return, Yizayu was eager to burn through supplies. Got it, Lin Yuxi replied. Watching Yizayu and Lizian leave, she glanced at the empty house and shivered. Being alone still felt unsettling. Meanwhile, Yizayu and Lizian climbed back into the pickup truck. Where are we going? Lizian asked timidly. To the police station, Yizayu replied. Although he already had Ironhide and 2 milk cows, contributors to the system's returns, they still needed some means of self-defense. Otherwise, they'd just be burdens. We're getting some weapons, he added as the truck roared to life and sped out of the neighborhood. The nearby police station wasn't far, so they arrived quickly. After taking down 5 or 6 zombies outside, earning 12 attribute points, Yizayu headed straight for the armory. Inside, as expected, there were still some weapons left, although a few safes had already been emptied. Someone's been here first? Yizayu frowned. If those weapons are used against me later, that could be a problem. A lot's already gone, Lizian said, inspecting a looted safe with a frown while clutching a baseball bat. It's fine, there's still some left. Yizayu noticed 5 untouched safes and used the unbreakable autumn leaf blade to pry them open. Inside, he found 2 QSZ-92 pistols and an automatic assault rifle. Brand new models. Along with various compatible ammunition. Toss these into the bag, he instructed, handing the pistols and rifle to Lizian, who eagerly accepted them. When he opened the last safe, a sleek black sniper rifle caught his eye. It was equipped with a bipod, scope, and silencer, all shining like new. A CSLR-4? Yizayu exclaimed in surprise. This advanced sniper rifle, usually reserved for special forces, was an unexpected find in a small police station. Wow, a sniper rifle. Lizian's eyes lit up at the sight. Have you used one before? Yizayu asked, intrigued by her excitement. Yes. Lizian nodded enthusiastically. When I was abroad, I used to practice with sniper rifles, though not this model. It was the British-made Barrett. Quite the enthusiast, huh? Yizayu chuckled, knowing she wasn't bluffing. As the daughter of the Hueco Mechanical Engineering Group CEO, she'd undoubtedly experienced plenty. Perfect? Let's take it, Yizayu decided, packing up the rifle along with 150 rounds of 7.62mm ammunition and a black silencer. With everything secured, they quickly left the armory. Outside, the growls of approaching zombies grew louder. However, by the time Yizayu stepped out, the zombies had either collapsed or disappeared entirely. Ironhide's handiwork, Yizayu realized. The transformer had even activated silent mode to avoid drawing attention, but this meant Yizayu missed out on valuable experience points. Ironhide, leave some for me next time. Understood, creator, Ironhide's mechanical voice responded as the truck rumbled away from the station. In the passenger seat, Lizian was assembling the sniper rifle with surprising efficiency. Within moments, she had it ready, her excitement brimming as she opened the window and took aim at a zombie outside. This gun is so cool! She exclaimed. What did you call me? Yizayu's voice carried a hint of displeasure. Master. Master. Lizian quickly corrected herself. Yizayu nodded, satisfied. "Dia minute," Lizian fumed internally. Calling someone master is so humiliating. How am I supposed to hold my head up if word gets out? To vent her frustration, she aimed at a staggering zombie and pulled the trigger. PFFT. The silenced rifle barely made a sound, but the zombie's head exploded in a shower of red. Impressive, Yizayu remarked, genuinely surprised. The shot was fired from over 100 meters while the truck was moving. Humphrey. Do you know how many guns I've handled abroad? This is nothing. Lizian said smugly. Oh? Were they all legit guns? Yizayu teased. Lizian's face flushed red. For your information, I've only ever used yours. Interesting, Yizayu said with a chuckle. This woman was proving to be more entertaining than he'd expected. Where to next? Lizian asked, her spirits lifted after taking down a zombie. Let's gather more food, Yizayu replied. Since the Spark Energy Core couldn't activate another transformer just yet, he decided to stockpile supplies, particularly fresh fruits and vegetables. If they spoil in a few days, I won't be able to trigger the 100-fold return, he mused. Chapter 11, Lin Yuxi has background too? Yizayu didn't go far this time, he just scouted a nearby fresh market in the residential area. Of course, before entering, Yizayu asked Ironhide to clear the way. Boom. One silenced energy cannon blast vaporized 7 or 8 zombies instantly. Lizian, watching from the side, couldn't help but feel a chill down her spine. If this thing hit me, wouldn't I be blown into pieces? Better behave myself. However, her thoughts quickly shifted the moment they entered the market. She was immediately drawn to the sight of all the food and drinks. Her eyes sparkled with excitement. The market was small, only about 80 square meters, but well stocked. Because it had closed for the night, the fresh vegetables and fruits were untouched by the zombies. Apples, oranges, strawberries, and even her favorite, durian, were still intact. Vegetables, mushrooms, and meat were also plentiful. Under normal circumstances, these would be nothing special. But in the apocalypse, they were treasures that countless survivors would fight to the death for. It had only been a day since the outbreak, and most people hadn't yet realized the full scale of the disaster. Lizian shuddered at the thought. If people figured it out, these supplies wouldn't last a second. What are you standing around for? Start packing. Yizayu, holding the autumn leaf blade and standing guard, called out when he saw her in a daze. Oh. Snapping out of it, Lizian abandoned any pretense of being a composed CEO. She excitedly started packing fruits into large crates. She didn't stop at fruits. Vegetables, meat, and more were thrown in. This act of taking everything for free gave her a strange thrill. She couldn't help but wonder if Yizayu was influencing her. How else could she think such thoughts? Still, while her mind raced, her hands moved faster, and her excitement grew. Even Yizayu found it amusing. So much for a dignified CEO, she's looting like a pro. Meanwhile, Yizayu took the opportunity to deal with incoming zombies. After all, he couldn't rely entirely on Ironhide if he wanted to level up. In about 10 minutes, Yizayu had dispatched 7 zombies, leaving almost nothing behind. The reward? A total of 21 attribute points. 3 points per zombie? These are way stronger than the weak ones in the residential area. Looking at the increase, Yizayu muttered to himself. This time, he didn't put all the points into strength. With firearms taken from the police station earlier, he focused on defense, adding 20 points. His defensive stats now tripled that of a normal human. The remaining point went into agility. Opening his status panel, Yizayu took a look. Name, Yizayu. Age, 21. Level, 1. Stamina, 10. Strength, 39. Agility, 16. Defense, 30. Talent, none. Summary, a well-rounded man of virtue and vigor. With the new stats, Yizayu felt the difference immediately. Lifting his shirt, he noticed he now had six-pack ABS, visibly defined with just a flex. Lizian, carrying a crate of apples, froze mid-step when she caught sight of him. Wow, Yizayu has such a great physique. Why didn't I notice before? What are you staring at? Yizayu snapped. Flustered, Lizian turned red. And nothing. Noticing her struggle with the heavy crate, Yizayu said, no need to carry it out. Just pack everything into the boxes. Huh? Lizian was confused until Yizayu casually waved his hand, and the entire crate disappeared. Whoa. What kind of trick is this? She gasped, covering her mouth. With obedience water ensuring her loyalty and his now enhanced defense making him nearly bulletproof, Yizayu simply said, it's the apocalypse, anything's possible. Right. Feeling slightly brainwashed, Lysia and couldn't help but agree. After all, it made sense in every apocalypse novel she'd read. For the next hour, the duo looted the entire fresh market. By the time they finished, the sun was setting. The moment the sun goes down, zombies will get faster. We need to head back, Yizayu said, having observed their behavior over the past 2 days. Got it, Lysia and replied obediently. With the supplies packed, they quickly drove off. Back at the residential complex around 6 p.m., night had fallen, and zombie movements noticeably sped up, matching the pace of a normal human. Now this is what zombies should be like, Yizayu muttered. Not shuffling around like old folks. The two hurried upstairs to the apartment. You're back. Lin Yuxi, wearing an apron, came out to greet them. She was visibly relieved to see them safe. Not just back. We hit the jackpot. Lysia and gleefully placed her bag on the floor, revealing a trove of firearms. Guns? Lin Yuxi gasped, covering her mouth. So many. Did you rob the police station? No. Lysia and corrected her seriously. It's called taking. The police station was overrun, we just took what we needed. Lin Yuxi's mouth twitched, but she let it slide. Whether stolen or taken, having these weapons meant better protection. Excited, she ran over, expertly assembled a pistol, loaded the magazine, and aimed out the window in a perfect stance. Both Yizayu and Lysia were stunned. You know how to use guns? Lysia asked. Blushing slightly, Lin Yuxi replied, well, I used to practice shooting when I traveled abroad. Chapter 12, the third day of the apocalypse, a second battle partner. Yizayu was a bit surprised by Lin Yuxi's familiarity with firearms. He didn't expect her overseas experiences to include handling guns. Still, this was a good thing. It saved him a lot of trouble. Well, from now on, the two of you should practice shooting and aim to become experts. That way, I won't have to waste energy protecting you all the time, Yizayu said to the two women. Both of them understood the necessity of self-reliance in this environment. Lin Yuxi nodded repeatedly. We'll practice hard. All right. Seeing that it was late, Yizayu didn't waste any more time. After a quick meal, he went to rest. This time, he and Lin Yuxi shared a room. Watching the two of them enter the bedroom, Lysia felt a pang of dissatisfaction. What, I'm not good enough or something? But with the sounds coming from the room, her face inexplicably turned red. She retreated to another room, burying herself under the blanket, pretending not to hear anything. The next morning, Yizayu woke up feeling refreshed. After leaving plenty of food for the two women, he got dressed and headed downstairs. It was the second day since his last activation, meaning he could unlock another transformer. As soon as he stepped outside, a zombie dashed toward him with a hoarse growl. Yizayu noticed that this zombie was faster than usual. The zombie's speed seemed to have increased significantly overnight. Still, it wasn't a challenge for him. One swift slash from the autumn leaf blade was all it took to decapitate it. The corpse burned to ash within moments. However, something different happened this time. As the zombie fell, a flash of orange light caught Yizayu's eye. Another item drop. Yizayu picked it up and froze. Item name, mutant fruit, rarity, orange, effect, consuming this grants the ability to control fire. Mutant fruit? Fire control? Stuff like this exists too? Looking at the fiery red fruit in his hand, Yizayu felt like his worldview had been upended. First, the spark energy core and the autumn leaf blade were already wild, but now this? The world seemed far more complex than he initially thought. If mutant fruits capable of granting fire control existed, would mutants with similar abilities also appear in the future? With such a valuable item in hand, Yizayu decided to consume it. If it granted fire-controlling powers, it would significantly boost his combat abilities. The fruit tasted like an apple, but the moment he swallowed it, Yizayu felt his body undergo a strange transformation. It only lasted for a moment before his body returned to normal, but his eyes glinted briefly with a red light. Snap! Yizayu snapped his fingers, and a small flame flickered to life on his fingertip. Damn! Yizayu marveled. The flame burned brightly but didn't harm him. However, he quickly realized its limitation. It was no bigger than a lighter's flame. Not very practical, Yizayu muttered, but the system's explanation soon followed. Host, this is a rare item that typically appears in later disasters. Consuming more of the same mutant fruit will enhance your fire control ability. So that's how it worked. Yizayu nodded. In that case, it's not bad. For now, though, he decided the flame was perfect for lighting cigarettes. Alright, time to move. Yizayu got in his car and headed toward Yunlong Mansion. Yunlong Mansion was a high-end neighborhood in Hueco City. With property prices reaching 40 million to 50 million per unit, it was the pinnacle of luxury living. The underground garage, filled with countless luxury cars, was the perfect spot to find a premium vehicle. The area was only about 5 kilometers away. Upon arrival, Yizayu found that it, too, had been overrun by zombies. After a quick scan from Ironhide, it became clear that most residents had already fled. As expected, the wealthy always have their escape routes, Yizayu muttered as he stepped out of the car with the autumn leaf blade in hand. Even the zombie security guards were still doing their job, but they didn't stand a chance. Yizayu swiftly decapitated them. Ding. Congratulations, you've gained +5 attribute points. Seeing the reward, Yizayu couldn't help but appreciate the physical fitness of the upscale community's security guards. Not like the toothless security at regular complexes. After clearing the zombies, Yizayu made his way to the underground garage. The garage was still brightly lit, its opulence gleaming under the lights. Luxury cars were everywhere. Mercedes, BMWs, and Audis were the norm, but only high-end models were present. Nothing lower than a 7 Series or S-Class. The rest included Ferraris, Porsches, Aston Martins, Land Rovers, and G-Wagons, all in pristine condition. But the most eye-catching vehicle was a military green Lamborghini. Its low-slung, aggressive stance and sharp headlights gave it the appearance of a predator lying in wait. A beast like this would be incredible if activated, Yizayu thought, his eyes gleaming. Turning to Ironhide, he asked, "What do you think of it?" After a quick scan, Ironhide confirmed, its powerful engine and unique carbon fiber body make it one of the most agile and capable choices among these vehicles. Perfect? With Ironhide's approval, Yizayu made his decision. He retrieved the spark matrix from his space ring, but as soon as he held it, something unexpected happened. The matrix fused into the palm of his hand. "What the?" Yizayu exclaimed. A notification quickly reassured him, spark fusion complete. Once bound, the spark matrix cannot be used by others. Current energy, 100%, now fused with the matrix. Yizayu noticed a glowing emblem on his palm but felt no other changes. He placed his hand on the Lamborghini, and a surge of blue energy rippled outward. The entire underground garage trembled. Car windows shattered, alarms blared, and a metallic symphony of transformation filled the air. The Lamborghini morphed into a massive, 6-meter-tall robotic warrior clad in dense green armor. However, like Ironhide, it misjudged its height and slammed into the ceiling. After shielding its head, the mech knelt before Yizayu, its deep, mechanical voice ringing out, "Cybertronian Warrior Number 2 reporting to the creator." Looking at its build and stance, Yizayu noticed it resembled Bumblebee to some extent, but it had an imposing, military green aesthetic. "Let's get started," Yizayu said, his excitement barely contained. Chapter 13, Santing fails to qualify. Yizayu scanned a new set of data from the transformed Lamborghini. Name, Cybertronian Warrior Number 2, Level 1, Class, Recon Soldier, Strength, 2000, Defense, 3000, Firepower, 4000, Companion, Recon Bird. Description: utilizing the Lamborghini as a base, this unit boasts exceptional combat and reconnaissance capabilities. It is a master of close-quarters combat and equipped with advanced firepower and surveillance systems. Recon Soldier? Yizayu was slightly taken aback. However, Recon soldiers were no ordinary troops. Their heightened awareness, rapid reflexes, exceptional combat skills, and top-tier equipment made them elite among elite. Even in the Cybertronian ranks, Recon soldiers were formidable. "From now on, your name is Lightning," Yizayu declared. "Yes, my creator." The massive mech responded in a hoarse mechanical tone. Just as Yizayu was about to leave, a noise came from outside. What was that sound? It seemed to come from the underground garage. Moments later, a group of people cautiously entered. Seeing them approach, Yizayu acted carefully. "Transform back," he ordered Lightning. "Yes." In seconds, Lightning reverted to its Lamborghini form, parked neatly beside Yizayu. The intruders were 3 men and 1 woman. The woman wore jeans and a face mask, while the men, armed with a baseball bat and a pistol, sported tattoos and sleeveless shirts. This group had the same idea as Yizayu, to loot valuables from the garage. The luxury cars below were an irresistible prize, especially in the chaos following the apocalypse. However, the signs of recent explosions had clearly unnerved them. "What the hell happened here? A bomb went off or something?" one man exclaimed. "Damn it. This guy did it," said another, noticing Yizayu standing near the Lamborghini. He smirked maliciously. "Hey, kid, you're all alone here?" The leader, known as Scarface, hesitated to attack immediately. With their numbers, they had the advantage, but he wanted answers first. The others slowly encircled Yizayu, their movements measured. "Yes, I'm alone," Yizayu replied calmly. Then, looking around, he asked, And you're a group of 4? Scarface sneered. You've got guts, talking to me like that in the apocalypse. Don't you know I could kill you right here, and no one would care? He raised his pistol, aiming it at Yizayu. Now hand over everything valuable, and maybe I'll let you live. Yizayu chuckled and shook his head. I didn't expect anyone to be bold enough to rob me. The woman in the group laughed. Scarface, why waste time talking? Just kill him before he attracts zombies. Fair point, Scarface said, casually squeezing her ear. Then, tossing his cigarette, he aimed the gun at Yizayu. Kid, don't blame me. Blame the world for being so messed up. Yizayu nodded slightly. True. The world is to blame. Then, he patted the Lamborghini. Lightning. The group was baffled. What good was patting a car and shouting its name? But their confusion turned to terror as the Lamborghini transformed before their eyes. The car morphed rapidly, a large mechanical cannon emerging atop its frame. Blue energy swirled, charging ominously. Boom. Scarface had no time to react. A beam of energy obliterated him in an instant, leaving nothing but vaporized remains. Alien. It's an alien. The remaining 2 men and the woman screamed, paralyzed by fear. But as adrenaline kicked in, they turned to flee. Run? Do you think you can escape? Yizayu's voice dripped with menace. Kill the men. Leave the woman alive. Understood, Creator. Lightning, already eager for action, transformed into its full 6-meter form, sliding forward in a fluid motion. Boom. Boom. 2 energy blasts tore through the garage, destroying several nearby cars and evaporating the fleeing men. The woman collapsed to the ground, trembling. Don't kill me. I'll do anything. Just don't kill me. Yizayu approached, his autumn leaf blade in hand. Tilting her helmet with the blade, he teased, weren't you eager to kill me earlier? Why beg now? Santing was in tears, her face pale. She knelt, kowtowing repeatedly. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Please, I didn't mean it. I'll never do it again. Her pleas were too late. Yizayu tapped her helmet lightly with his blade. Take it off. Let's see your face. Desperate to survive, Santing quickly removed her helmet and mask, revealing a rather attractive face. Yizayu examined her, but his system provided an evaluation. Name, Santing, age, 27, height, 165 centimeters, weight, 58 kilograms, summary, above average. Overall rating, 87. Does not meet the requirements. Santing didn't know the specifics, but Yizayu's disappointed shake of his head told her she had no hope. Chapter 14, Yizayu leaves nothing behind. Clearly, scoring only 87 points wasn't enough to meet the system's requirements. Although he had anticipated this outcome, Yizayu couldn't help feeling a bit disappointed. Finding a beauty with a 95-point score didn't seem easy. Fortunately, he still had 2 more options. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for not being pretty enough. Glancing at the pleading Santing, Yizayu coldly dropped the remark. What? Before Santing could react, lightning's terrifying blue energy instantly evaporated her. This was the apocalypse. Showing mercy to others was betraying yourself. Roar. The commotion attracted numerous zombies from all directions, stumbling and lurching toward the scene. Take them down. With lightning and Ironhide at his side, Yizayu felt no fear. Following his command. Boom. A deafening explosion shook the entire underground parking lot. In an instant, flames surged skyward amidst the scorching heat. Boom. From the blaze emerged a striking military green Lamborghini, drifting out of the garage in a display of power alongside a rugged Ford Raptor. The vehicles carried Yizayu swiftly away. Outside the parking lot, the Lamborghini pulled up in front of a towering high-rise that reached a height of 200 meters. Sitting in the driver's seat, Yizayu looked up at the upscale building. There should be plenty of supplies here, he muttered, then turned to Lightning. Lightning, investigate this building and check for any survivors. After all, this was reputedly the wealthiest residential complex in Hueco City. With such a luxurious space, there was bound to be something valuable inside. Yes, Creator, Lightning responded. Its gears clicked and clattered as its back transformed. Then, with a whoosh, a large mechanical bird, roughly 1.2 meters in wingspan, shot out and spread its wings, soaring toward the high-rise. This was Lightning's reconnaissance assistant. Recon Bird. It bore some resemblance to Laserbeak. As Recon Bird descended, its mechanical eyes glowed red, generating thermal imaging. Simultaneously, a virtual screen appeared inside the Lamborghini, displaying scattered red dots. The zombies. This was Recon Bird's perspective, and Yizayu couldn't help but marvel. This tech is insane. Soon, Recon Bird finished its survey. All clear. All clear, it reported hoarsely in a sycophantic mechanical voice. Excellent. With no imminent threats, Yizayu quickly exited the car. Ironhide and Lightning positioned themselves outside the building, guarding the perimeter to prevent zombies or others from entering. Yizayu entered the building with Recon Bird in tow. On the second floor, a zombie in a security uniform lunged at him. Prepared, Yizayu swung the autumn leaf blade, decapitating it in a single strike. The zombie turned to ash in the next moment. A pleasant system notification followed. Ding. Congratulations, host. You've successfully killed a zombie and earned +4 attribute points. Not bad, 4 points, Yizayu noted. After dealing with the zombie, Yizayu approached an opulent door. The grand door stood 3 meters tall and 2 meters wide. A massive double door design. However, it was locked. But that posed no challenge for Recon Bird. Recon Bird. Yizayu stepped back. Understood, Master. Unlike Lightning, which addressed him as creator, Recon Bird used Master, signifying its role as a small auxiliary Cybertronian life form. Despite being primarily for support, it was equipped with firepower. Flapping its wings, Recon Bird landed before the copper door. Its claws extended, and within seconds, the lock began beeping rapidly. Beep beep beep. Click. In less than 3 seconds, the metal door swung open. Yizayu couldn't help but admire the sight. A true lock-picking expert. Now wasn't the time to dwell on that, though. Inside the room, Yizayu found himself in an enormous luxury flat spanning approximately 450 square meters. The living room alone was a whopping 150 square meters. To put that in perspective, most ordinary homes were only about 110 square meters in total. Damn, this living room is bigger than my entire house. When he stepped into the 30 square meter bathroom, Yizayu shook his head in disbelief. Even the bathroom is bigger than my bedroom. The rich sure know how to live. The gap between people's lives is staggering, but in the apocalypse, wealth and poverty are meaningless. Yizayu first checked the kitchen and refrigerator. Inside, he found some fresh, stored milk, indicating that someone had lived here recently. He packed all the imported milk into his space ring. In the lower compartments, he discovered some frozen grain-fed beef and prawns. While these items were commonplace before, in the apocalypse, they were rare treasures. Especially now, just 3 days after the outbreak, food shortages hadn't reached extreme levels. In later stages, when supplies would run out, even moldy bread would become a prize. But Yizayu wasn't worried about such scenarios. Though there was only about a kilogram of beef and less than a kilo of prawns, the 100-fold return would turn this into 200 kilograms. 200 kilograms. Enough for 3 people to eat 10 kilograms daily for 20 days. Having the 100-fold return is just too satisfying. Yizayu smiled, realizing his strategy should focus on collecting variety, not just quantity. He prioritized rare and unique foods and drinks. After clearing out the fridge, Yizayu came across some premium walking rice from northeast China. Whether it was genuine or not didn't matter. He took it all. He also found some high-end liquors, including limited edition Mao Tai, Wuli Angai, and Zodiac series bottles. These might be valuable in the apocalypse, Yizayu murmured as he examined the bottles. Once sought after through hunger marketing and priced at thousands of yuan, such items could become highly tradable commodities. Better pack them up. He stored all the liquor in his space ring, along with a few packs of premium cigarettes like 95 Supreme and Yuwashi. In the walk-in closet, he found a large collection of clothes, luxury watches, and jewelry. However, most of the watches were clearly designed for women. That's fine too. Holding an expensive Patek Philippe watch, Yizayu mused about how it could be modified into a control device, like in a movie. In about 20 minutes, Yizayu had cleared the entire space. Guided by Recon Bird, he moved to the 3rd floor. Here, he found a stockpile of vegetables and fruits, confirming that the previous owner had been a conscientious homemaker. All these, too, went into his space ring. Produce was indispensable in the apocalypse. From the 2nd floor to the 15th, Yizayu systematically looted everything in sight. Along the way, he killed 12 zombies, earning 36 attribute points. Some of the zombies had been former residents, adding to his considerable haul. In addition to staple foods, meat, vegetables, and fruits, he collected premium cigars like Cohiba and Cuban brands. These could also fetch a good price in trades. However, a new problem soon arose. Yizayu noticed that his 1,000 cubic meter space ring was already half full. At this rate, I'll only manage to clear out 1 building before running out of space. And there are 4 buildings here. Pondering this, Yizayu asked the system, is there any way to increase the storage space of the ring? Chapter 15, Another space ring explodes. What a drop rate. Soon, the system responded, the host can upgrade the space ring by killing zombies and obtaining space ring upgrade stones, so, Upgrade stones were the key. Yizayu muttered to himself. No wonder so many items have levels. It turns out upgrade stones are required. But this raised another issue. Upgrade stones didn't seem easy to drop. Despite killing plenty of zombies since the outbreak, he hadn't seen a single one. Of course, most of the kills had been handled by Ironhide, who vaporized them outright. Looks like I'll need to handle things personally, Yizayu sighed, feeling a bit frustrated. He pushed these concerns aside and continued gathering supplies. For nearly an entire day, Yizayu methodically looted from the second floor to the top floor. When he cleared out the last of the top floor apartments, it was already past 6 p.m. The sky had darkened, and the zombies were beginning to move faster. Yizayu decided not to linger and headed back toward the residential complex. Roar! Just as he reached the ground floor, a zombie lunged at him from the side. Fortunately, Yizayu's reflexes were quick. He sidestepped and slashed with his blade. Whoosh! Flames flared up instantly. The system notification chimed in, ding. Congratulations, you've killed a zombie and earned +5 attribute points. By now, Yizayu was far stronger than before. Despite spending much of the day collecting supplies, he had killed around 20 zombies and accumulated 50 attribute points. He allocated 30 points to agility and 20 to defense. This brought his agility to 50 and defense to 70, making him 5 times faster and 7 times tougher than an average person. With such high defense, he mused that even if a zombie bit him directly, it likely wouldn't penetrate. His heightened agility, however, caused him to instinctively react too quickly for most threats. What's this? Just as Yizayu was about to leave, a faint pink glow caught his attention. As he approached, he discovered a weapon. An eerie, dark-bladed longsword tinged with a mysterious purplish-red hue. Picking it up, he was stunned by its attributes. Item name, Blood Butterfly's Wrath quality, pink level, 1 stamina, +100 agility, +100 defense, +100 special effect, absorbs blood energy to strengthen the user's power. Killing zombies increases strength by 1 point per kill. Owner, Yizayu transferable, yes holy. This thing boosts attributes? Yizayu was dumbfounded. Though the blade was only about 100 centimeters long. More suitable for women. It dramatically amplified his strength and mobility when he wielded it. The blood energy absorption effect further enhanced its utility. This weapon. Amazing. He swung it casually and marveled at its potential. Since it was only level 1, upgrading it would undoubtedly make it even more formidable. Additionally, Yizayu found a space ring nearby. Item name, Space Ring quality, blue storage capacity, 2,000 cubic meters. Owner, Yizayu didn't expect such luck. 2 drops at once. Holding the blood butterfly and the space ring, Yizayu couldn't hide his surprise. Realizing it was getting late, he stored the items and exited the building. Boom. The Lamborghini started automatically, its glaring headlights cutting through the darkness like a predator ready to strike. Ironhide followed behind. Boom. The 2 vehicles drove out of the complex, heading toward Guangming Residential Complex. On the way, Yizayu noticed an increase in the number of zombies as well as survivors attempting to flee in vehicles. The chaotic scenes didn't faze him, he let lightning handle the driving. After navigating through several turns, they finally returned to the residential complex. Meanwhile, upstairs in the apartment, Lin Yuxi and Li Xian had been waiting for a long time. Li Xian, perched on the balcony, was peering through a sniper scope, scanning the area below with a mischievous grin. Why isn't Yizayu back yet? Lin Yuxi rested her delicate chin on her hands, glancing at the prepared meal and feeling a bit worried. Li Xian, however, seemed unconcerned. She adjusted her sniper rifle with a smirk. Why are you worrying about him? You should feel sorry for anyone who crosses his path. They're the unlucky ones. No one understood Yizayu's terrifying transformers better than she did. Those giant mechanical beings, towering over 7 or 8 meters tall, could vaporize groups of people with a single blast, even punching holes through the ground. With such powerful allies, who could possibly harm him? Even hordes of zombies would be swept aside effortlessly. Well, that's true, Lin Yuxi admitted but remained a little uneasy. As they spoke. Boom. A deep roar of air pressure echoed from outside, catching Li Xian's attention through her sniper scope. Her face lit up in excitement. Look. He's back. However, when she spotted the military green Lamborghini, her expression turned peculiar. Could this car also be a mechanical life form? She wondered. Why else would the master bring it along? Her thoughts were more careful now. Even internally, she referred to Yizayu as master. After all, if she let any disobedient thoughts creep in, she'd suffer for it. Li Xian had come to terms with her situation. In the apocalypse, contacting the outside world was impossible, but sticking with Yizayu meant no worries about food or drink. Plus, they had the protection of those powerful transformers. What was there to complain about? With this mindset, she felt a sense of ease she hadn't experienced before. Where? Lin Yuxi, hearing that Yi Xiaoyu had returned, eagerly ran to the window. Spotting him driving up, she beamed with joy. The Lamborghini pulled up downstairs. Yi Xiaoyu got out, blade in hand, and headed for the building. Meanwhile, lightning transformed into its towering transformer form, crouching menacingly in the corner. Its posture sent a clear message: anyone who dares approach will be blasted away. When Yi Xiaoyu reached the staircase, he noticed two corpses lying in the hallway. Their heads had been cleanly shot, and they showed no signs of infection. As he opened the door, Lin Yuxi rushed to him, throwing her arms around him in relief. "You're back. What happened here?" Yi Xiaoyu asked, glancing at the bodies outside. "Ah, well." Lin Yuxi composed herself and quickly explained. Apparently, after Yi Xiaoyu had left, two nosy neighbors from a nearby building had snuck over. They had been drawn by the sight of the two women standing on the balcony. Unfortunately for them, they were taken out as soon as they arrived. "By you two?" Yi Xiaoyu asked. "Well, sort of." Lin Yuxi gestured toward Li Xian, who stood nearby holding her sniper rifle. "It was Zhao Wan who shot them." Yi Xiaoyu raised an eyebrow, surprised. "Not bad." Receiving the compliment, Li Xian's cheeks lit up, and she grinned. "Thank you, master. All right, let's head inside." Yi Xiaoyu waved his arm, and with a mechanical whir, Recon Bird transformed in front of the women's astonished eyes. It became a large mechanical bird, which Yi Xiaoyu commanded, "Take care of those bodies." The corpses in the hallway were an eyesore, after all. Yes, master," Recon Bird replied obsequiously as it flapped its wings and waddled toward the bodies. With a sharp movement, it spewed flames that incinerated the remains instantly. "Oh my gosh! What is that?" Li Xian gasped, covering her mouth in shock. Yi Xiaoyu, unfazed, answered casually, "Our new companion." "New companion?" Li Xian's dazzling eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Our team is growing again," she thought, marveling at how impressive the bird was despite its size. "All right, let's go back inside." After shutting the door, Yi Xiaoyu took a quick shower. The day's zombie slaying had left him filthy. As usual, he used mineral water for the bath. Luxuries he could afford in the apocalypse. Li Xian, albeit reluctantly, assisted him with the process. "Why am I always the one doing this?" she grumbled. "Why not ask Sister Yuxi to do it?" Yi Xiaoyu countered, "Can you cook?" Her little mouth opened in protest, but she couldn't argue with that. As the bathtub filled, Li Xian helped wipe down Yi Xiaoyu's body. Her gaze landed on his well-defined muscles and striking six-pack, causing her face to flush. Her usually steady hands trembled slightly as she worked. "What's wrong with your hands?" Yi Xiaoyu asked, noticing her unusual behavior. He turned to look at her and was momentarily stunned. The bathroom's warm lighting highlighted her tall figure draped in an oversized white shirt. A makeshift garment taken from his collection. The fabric hung loosely, and under the light, it faintly revealed her curvaceous silhouette. Her flawless, blushing face and slightly labored breathing only added to the allure. Who could possibly resist such a sight? Chapter 16, Time to find two new companions. An hour later, after finishing his bath and a simple dinner, Yi Xiaoyu began tallying the day's haul. The results were impressive: over 600 bottles of water in various sizes. Around 60 cases of liquor, including Ma O Tai, Wuli Angai, Zodiac series bottles, and lesser-known brands. More than 400 bottles of red wine. "My goodness, master, you've struck gold!" Li Xian exclaimed, her excitement bubbling over. With these supplies, hunger would never be an issue. However, her enthusiasm was soon tempered by a frown. "But most of this is luxury goods." She noticed that liquor and cigarettes made up over half of the collection. "Not much choice," Yi Xiaoyu replied. "Luxury homes are full of high-end items, but not much in the way of daily necessities." "That's true," Li Xian admitted. Having lived in a luxury area herself, she was familiar with the pattern. Houses filled with collectibles like figurines and jewelry, but lacking practical items. "It's ironic," she said with a sigh. "When disaster strikes, these things are nothing more than decorations. They're completely useless. Less valuable than a bag of rice." "Human nature," Yi Xiaoyu remarked. "In times of peace, people indulge in extravagance and waste. But when the apocalypse comes, regret is all that remains." "Exactly," Lin Yuxi nodded, then suggested, "Since we need food, why don't we raid a supermarket or shopping mall?" Yi Xiaoyu agreed. He knew that other disasters, acid rain, earthquakes, and icy storms, were looming. Nobody could predict the chaos those events would bring, and stockpiling supplies was the safest bet. Shopping centers and supermarkets, with their variety, were the best places to target. The next morning marked the fourth day of the apocalypse. By now, not only had the water supply stopped, but electricity was also out. Observing through the window, Yizayu noticed that the number of zombies outside had increased significantly. The situation was clearly worsening. Yizayu attempted to use Recon Bird to broadcast and gather external information, but there was no response. Master. Master, Recon Bird said hesitantly in its hoarse mechanical voice. There are no usable signals. It seems this place has been completely abandoned. Yizayu didn't blame it. It's fine. This was only the beginning of the apocalypse. As more disasters unfolded, the situation would undoubtedly become even bleaker. The top priority now was upgrading and gathering more supplies. Most importantly, the Spark Energy Core was fully charged, and Yizayu needed to create another transformer. After breakfast, Yizayu looked over the supplies, feeling quite satisfied. Lizian asked curiously, "Where are we going today?" Yizayu didn't hold back. "We're heading out to collect fresh vegetables and fruits. It's already the fourth day, and if we don't stock up now, we might have to settle for spoiled ones later. In addition, we need to gather medical supplies." He understood that in the apocalypse, medicine was as crucial as food. A simple cold or bacterial infection could be deadly without proper treatment. "This is too much for one person to handle, so you're both coming with me today." "Got it." Lin Yuxi and Lizian nodded obediently. Lizian, in particular, was thrilled. She'd been barred out of her mind the past 2 days, so the chance to go out was a welcome change. "Get some fresh air?" Yizayu scoffed internally at her excitement. "You're looking for some excitement, aren't you?" Not that he minded. With an extra space ring on hand, this was also an opportunity to relax. After breakfast, the three set off. Lizian came fully armed with a sniper rifle, an automatic assault rifle, a handgun, and plenty of ammunition. Her battle-ready appearance left Yizayu a bit stunned. "For someone so small, you sure can carry a lot." "Of course," Lizian boasted. "I'm a fitness enthusiast. This is nothing." Yizayu nodded sincerely. "I can see that." Her face flushed as she recalled the previous night's scene in the bathroom. Compared to Yizayu's physique, she realized she was still far behind. Lin Yuxi took a simpler approach, carrying just an automatic rifle, a handgun, and some ammo. Seeing that Yizayu had brought nothing but his autumn leaf blade, Lin Yuxi asked, "Yizayu, aren't you bringing any weapons?" "Weapons?" Yizayu chuckled, pulling the autumn leaf blade from his space ring and waving it. "This is the best weapon I need." The two women exchanged a glance, then, to Yizayu's amusement, said in unison, "Cool." The three headed downstairs, placing their weapons in ironhide-struck bed. As the pickup truck and military green Lamborghini roared to life, the convoy departed the complex. The few remaining survivors in the area couldn't help but gawk. "Are you kidding me? Driving a Lamborghini during the apocalypse? That's ridiculous." Little did they know the Lamborghini was a transformer. Out on the road, the three quickly reached the streets. Lin Yuxi was shocked by the devastation. Burned-out cars, zombie corpses, collapsed buildings, and toppled utility poles littered the area. The Guangming residential complex was located between the second and third ring of Hueihai City, a zone less dense with zombies. Yet, the chaos was already overwhelming. "If it's this bad here, I can't imagine what the city center looks like," Lin Yuxi murmured. "The center?" Yizayu chuckled. "It's probably worse than you can imagine." Their first stop was the Hueihai Exhibition Car Center. Yizayu knew from yesterday's discoveries that powerful Cybertronian soldiers required vehicles with strong engines. This wasn't limited to cars. Tanks, armored vehicles, and fighter jets were ideal too. Unfortunately, Hueihai City lacked a military base, and the nearest one was over 300 kilometers away. Crossing the city to reach it was not feasible. For now, Yizayu had to settle for supercars with high-performance engines. The group arrived at Hueihai's largest second-hand supercar dealership. The two vehicles parked at the entrance, an Ironhide and Lightning transformed into towering figures, following Yizayu inside. Lizian was puzzled. "Didn't we come to collect fruits and vegetables? Why are we at a supercar dealership?" "To find two new companions, of course," Yizayu replied matter-of-factly. Chapter 17, The Third New Companion, Venom. Time pause gun. "What? A new companion?" The two women were stunned when they heard this. "Is it like those two big guys behind you? Are you serious? Is this how those big guys came about?" Yizayu didn't bother explaining too much. He simply led the two women into the luxury car center. However, before they could step inside, a zombie charged at them with a furious roar. Fortunately, Yizayu reacted quickly. He swiftly drew Blood Butterfly's wrath from his space ring. Slash. With a single strike, the zombie was cleaved cleanly in two. Hiss. Witnessing this, the two women gasped, exchanging shocked glances. Master's strength is incredible. He just split his zombie in half with one swing. Of course, Yizayu wasn't paying them any attention. He was already listening to the notification in his ears. Ding. Congratulations on killing a zombie. You have earned +2 attribute points. Besides that, he also felt a faint, mysterious energy from the blade flow into his body. Curious, Yizayu opened his attribute panel. Sure enough, his strength stat had increased by 1 point. Impressive. Seeing this, Yizayu couldn't help but marvel. Gaining attribute points from kills was already outrageous, but now this blade could also boost his strength. This meant he didn't need to focus on strength anymore. Instead, he could pour all his points into defense. Not bad. This blade is truly remarkable. Yizayu gave Blood Butterfly's wrath a casual swing, his admiration for it growing stronger. After dealing with the zombie, Yizayu led the two women into the second-hand luxury car dealership. The dealership wasn't massive, but it wasn't small either, spanning roughly 2,000 square meters across 2 floors. Usually, it functioned as a showroom and sales center, so the display setup was quite impressive. But after the apocalypse, these supercars and luxury vehicles had turned into useless toys. The damaged roads made them impossible to drive. For Yizayu, however, this place was heaven. Wow! There are so many luxury cars here. Lin Yuxi exclaimed, her earlier shock at Yizayu's zombie-splitting feat momentarily forgotten. She was quickly drawn to the sleek supercars not far away, her eyes lighting up as she spotted a Ferrari 488. The iconic red exterior, low-slung body, and sharp headlights captivated her at first glance. But that wasn't all. Soon, she saw more. A stunning lineup of Mercedes, BMW, and Audi vehicles. Then came the supercars, Lamborghini Huracan, Lamborghini Aventador, Ferrari 458, and Ferrari Roma. Even Porsche was well represented, with models like the 911 and Panamera. Altogether, there were over 100 luxury cars on display, leaving Lin Yuxi overwhelmed. Even Yizayu couldn't help but feel a pang of excitement. If someone told him to choose between a Lamborghini Aventador and a beautiful woman, he'd definitely pick the car. Let's be real. No guy can resist a supercar. If they could, it'd only be because an even cooler one was available. Luckily, Yizayu already had his eye on a particular vehicle, a black Pagani Huayra on the second-floor platform. Priced at 30 million, it was undoubtedly the most expensive car in the showroom. If I activate this, it should be a great choice. Fixing his gaze on the sleek, low-profile car with its massive rear wing, Yizayu muttered to himself. He headed upstairs and placed his hand on the Pagani's body. The moment he made contact. Buzz. As energy surged into the car, a flash of blue light swept through the entire showroom. The ripple of energy even made Lizia and Lin Yuxi's hair float slightly. Then, they witnessed a sight they'd never forget. Buzz. Clack 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 clack. The Pagani on the platform began to transform. With the sound of gears grinding violently, the car quickly morphed into a towering 6-meter-tall mechanical behemoth in an incredibly stylish pose. The newly activated Pagani appeared momentarily dazed, scanning its surroundings. What is this place? When its eyes landed on Yizayu, however, it immediately showed reverence. Dropping to one knee, it spoke in a deep, mechanical voice, Cybertronian Soldier Number 3 reporting for duty, Creator. Cybertron? Soldier Number 3? The two women were dumbfounded. What on earth was this? An alien life form secretly hiding on Earth? Yizayu ignored their reactions and checked Soldier Number 3's stats. Name, Cybertronian Soldier Number 3 Level, 1 Class, Ground Force Strength, 2000 Defense, 4000 Firepower, 5000 Special Weapon. Time pause. Gun description, a powerful warrior from the mysterious, distant Cybertronian galaxy. Using the Pagani Huayra as its vehicle mode, it boasts strong firepower and agile combat capabilities, belonging to the Agile Warrior class. But Yizayu frowned at the stats. Only 2000 strength? For context, Lightning, his Lamborghini Aventador, had the same strength stat. Yet, this Pagani cost 4 times more, at a whopping 30 million. Seriously? Is the luxury car markup this bad? Yizayu was speechless. He'd thought the stronger the car, the stronger the Cybertronian soldier it would become. But now it seemed the engine core was what mattered most. Still, there was a silver lining. This guy came with a time pause gun. That seems like a useful weapon. Eyeing the massive black mech that bore a resemblance to Stinger from the movies, Yizayu decided, I'll call you Venom. Understood, Creator. Venom dropped to one knee again, its voice filled with reverence. This scene left the two women utterly stunned. So this is how Yi Zayu gets his transformers? Chapter 18, Another Weapon Drop. Shadow Dagger. For Yi Zayu, what he had now was far from enough. He needed more transformers. Hundreds of them. Now that would be truly impressive. With that many, conquering Hueco City would be a breeze, let alone ruling the entire world. Having gained a new companion, Yi Zayu decided to send Li Xian, Lin Yuxi, and Ironhide and Venom to a nearby mall to collect supplies. He himself would head to a pharmacy to gather medicines. Got it. With those two big guys protecting them, Lin Yuxi and Li Xian felt much more confident. After obediently responding, they watched as Venom and Ironhide transformed back into a Paganihuara and a pickup truck, respectively. Together, they took the two women toward the mall. Yi Zayu, meanwhile, set his sights on a pharmacy. In the apocalypse, medicine was an absolute necessity. Falling ill without fever reducers or antibiotics could easily lead to death. It was something you might not need often but couldn't afford to lack. Sitting in his Lamborghini Aventador, Yi Zayu revved up the engine, the car roaring powerfully as he sped away. Fortunately, Hueco City was littered with pharmacies. One every 5 meters, with clinics every 10. This profitable industry was everywhere, making the search relatively easy. But unexpectedly, as he entered the second ring of the city, Yi Zayu noticed several squads of soldiers collecting supplies in the area. Soldiers? Didn't expect to see them here. Seeing the heavily armed soldiers, Yi Zayu was surprised but soon understood. While the apocalypse was a disaster for ordinary people, it wasn't necessarily so for the military. With full armor and high-tech weaponry, they had a significant advantage. Against zombies, especially the slow-moving ones at the start, even a single bullet could take them down. Not to mention the overwhelming power of large armies. If there were losses, it was likely limited to those who were unlucky enough to be caught in the initial wave of the mysterious blood moon. Even so, with their weaponry, each soldier could easily take down 10 zombies at a time. Naturally, their survival rate was far higher than civilians. Yi Zayu didn't engage with them, instead instructing Lightning to keep a low profile. Change form. A Lamborghini Aventador was far too conspicuous in the apocalypse. Understood, creator. Following Yi Zayu's order, Lightning chuckled, scanning a nearby dilapidated Buick Regal. In an instant, it transformed into a plain-looking compact sedan and quietly drove away. This transformation caught the attention of the nearby recon soldiers. But upon seeing that it was just a white Buick, they quickly dismissed it. After all, Hueco City still had many survivors. At the same time, a fully armed female captain emerged from one of the pharmacies. The moment she stepped out, 2 soldiers immediately saluted. Captain. The captain nodded slightly. Perhaps feeling stifled, she removed her mask, revealing an exceptionally beautiful face. Hers was a standard beauty with striking features, but her sharp and valiant demeanor added an air of commanding authority. Hearing the commotion, she asked, "What was that noise just now?" One of the soldiers replied, "It was likely a survivor driving past." "Oh? A survivor?" The mention of a survivor piqued her interest. This was, after all, the second ring of the city. The epicenter of a zombie outbreak, with hundreds of thousands of zombies roaming the streets. For someone to be wandering around here was no small feat. Interesting. That survivor must be quite bold. But this wasn't her main concern. "Any news about Miss Kin?" she asked, lifting her sharp gaze toward a nearby soldier. The soldier scratched his head awkwardly. Sorry, Captain. Hueco City is just too large. Finding one person is like searching for a needle in a haystack, so... Enough." The captain waved him off, her expression darkening. She already knew the answer. But there was no choice. Qin Yao was the daughter of her superior. Their mission in Hueco City had 2 objectives, to secure a batch of medicines and vital hospital equipment and to locate Qin Yao. Yet, there had been no progress in finding her so far. Her brows furrowed as a cold dread crept into her thoughts. She couldn't help but wonder if the girl had already met with disaster. Still, no matter the outcome, alive or dead, we must find her. Understood? Her voice was icy, sending a chill down the soldiers' spines. They quickly straightened and saluted. "Yes, ma'am." Captain Li Zigui wasn't just any soldier. She was a top-tier special forces operative. Rumor had it that she had been injected with the high-ranking new human serum upon her arrival yesterday. This serum not only made her immune to zombie infections but also significantly enhanced her physical abilities. Because of this, no one dared to provoke her. "We'll make arrangements immediately," one soldier said, using the radio to contact others. Li Zigui's expression softened slightly at the soldier's response, though she still commanded, "Once you've cleared out these 2 pharmacies, head to the hospital. We need to bring back a batch of equipment." Understood. Meanwhile, Yizayu had no idea about the soldier's mission, nor did he care. His sole objective was the medicine. Arriving at a pharmacy, he saw that its rolling metal shutters were tightly shut, clearly untouched by others. Outside, 3 zombies were aimlessly wandering around. Boom. After stepping out of the car, Yizayu wasted no time. Wielding the autumn leaf blade, he dispatched the 3 zombies with ease, earning 6 attribute points in the process. He then turned to his recon bird. Open it. Yes, Master, the recon bird chirped sycophantically as it flapped its wings. Flying toward the shutter, its mechanical eyes glowed red, firing 2 lasers. In a flash, the beam sliced through the metal, creating a large hole in the door. But before Yizayu could enter, roar! A zombie in a pharmacist's coat lunged out, its blood-red eyes brimming with hunger. Luckily, Yizayu was quick to react. With a flick of his wrist, he severed the zombie's arms in one swift strike. Then, delivering a powerful kick, he sent the creature flying back inside. Before it could get back up, Yizayu closed the distance and, with a decisive slash, severed its head. Whoosh! The flames from the blade consumed the zombie's remains, reducing it to ashes in moments. As the flames died down, a pleasant chime rang in Yizayu's ears. Ding! Congratulations, host, on killing a zombie. You have earned +5 attribute points. To his surprise, he also gained a new weapon. A sleek, pitch-black dagger. Item name, Shadow Dagger, quality, purple, level 1, attributes, strength +20, agility +50, defense +20, description, a dagger as swift as the wind, hidden in the shadows and ready to deliver a fatal strike. Comes with an additional attribute absorption effect, each zombie kill grants +1 agility. Another weapon? Not bad. Yizayu couldn't help but feel pleasantly surprised. In just 2 days, he'd obtained 3 pieces of equipment. Though the dagger's purple quality and faintly glowing black appearance were slightly inferior to Blood Butterfly's Wrath, it was still a solid find. Better than nothing. He stored the dagger in his space ring without hesitation. The recon bird, eager to please, fluttered over to the pharmacy's power outlet. Using its own energy reserves, it powered up the shop. Buzz. Clack clack clack. With a low hum, the lights flickered on, illuminating the small 40-square-meter pharmacy. Inside, Yizayu spotted rows of neatly organized medicines. Right at the front were amoxicillin, disinfectant alcohol, iodine, bandages, and gauze. Particularly eye-catching were the rows of cephalosporin antibiotics, with over a dozen boxes in total. Yizayu didn't hesitate, waving his hand to collect everything into his space ring. Given the ongoing apocalypse, medical supplies were bound to become increasingly scarce. Falling ill without antibiotics or basic medical supplies would be a death sentence. Stocking up now was the wisest move. The more, the better, Yizayu muttered as he continued gathering supplies. Chapter 19, Who Should Get the Shadow Dagger? In addition to medicine, Yizayu found some glucose and vitamins. These were also incredibly valuable in the apocalypse. Vitamins could replenish essential micronutrients, while glucose provided vital energy. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that a survivor armed with a canister of glucose could go a whole month without food and still survive. The pharmacy had 24 cans of glucose. Enough for one person to last 2 years. Of course, living on glucose alone for 2 years was impossible, but its value couldn't be denied. Yizayu didn't waste time and packed it all into his space ring. After finishing up, Yizayu noticed it was getting late. He looted a nearby fruit shop for good measure and then headed back to Guangming Residential Complex. When Yizayu returned home, he found that the 2 women were already back. Yizayu. Master. Hearing the door open, Lizia and Anlin Yuxi jumped up from the couch where they'd been discussing something and enthusiastically greeted him, wrapping him in a warm embrace from both sides. Yizayu couldn't deny that it felt good, but he quickly pushed them aside, asking, "How was today's haul?" "We got so much." It was obvious from their excited expressions. After parting ways with Yizayu earlier, they had gone to the nearby Aegean shopping center, a large mall. Surprisingly, it hadn't been touched yet. The reason was simple: there were far too many zombies inside. Hundreds of them. No one dared venture in. But for Lizia and Anlin Yuxi, this was no obstacle. With transformers like Ironhide and Venom in tow, clearing the mall was a breeze. Ironhide led the charge, easily wiping out all the zombies, while Venom stayed outside to guard the entrance. With the area secured, the 2 women headed straight to the second-floor supermarket and began looting with glee. "Here's a list of what we collected today. I wrote it all down." Lin Yuxi, beaming with excitement, handed Yizayu a small notebook. She was practically glowing with joy. It was her first experience with a zero-cost shopping spree, and it was exhilarating. Even in the apocalypse, the thrill of taking whatever she wanted, for free, was undeniable. Lin Yuxi couldn't help but admit, no wonder some people enjoy robbing. This feeling is amazing. Yi Xiaoyu glanced at the itemized list. It was packed with entries. At first, everything seemed reasonable: mineral water, sausages, yogurt, milk, apples, grapes, oranges, rice, flour. Then came the snacks: potato chips, spicy strips, jelly, milk, candies, nuts and dried fruits. Meat products followed: frozen beef slices, meatballs, chicken drumsticks, pork. The total volume was over 100 tons, more than enough for 3 people to last 2 years. However, as he read further, the list took an unexpected turn: dresses, 220 pieces, cosmetics, black stockings, underwear. Yi Xiaoyu's expression grew strange. Seriously? I asked you to gather supplies, and this is what you brought back? He looked at them incredulously. Even these? As his gaze swept over them, both women blushed, lowering their heads in embarrassment. Lin Yuxi muttered softly, well, it's been days since the apocalypse started, and we haven't had a chance to change clothes. We're still wearing yours. Only then did Yi Xiaoyu notice that the 2 women were indeed wearing his oversized clothes, which had become a little transparent in places. Combined with their figures and looks. Damn, who could resist this? But Yi Xiaoyu managed to keep his composure. Fine, that explains the underwear. But what's with the dresses? Li Xian's face turned even redder. We couldn't resist. Sorry, master. Looking at their guilty expressions, Yi Xiaoyu couldn't help but laugh internally. So the infamous Singles Day, hailed as the ultimate shopping spree for women, wasn't just a myth. Even in the apocalypse, they couldn't help themselves. Still, the substantial meat haul redeemed them somewhat. Clearly, they had stripped the supermarket of nearly half its inventory, filling up their entire 1,000 cubic meter storage space. Forget it. These supplies will last the 3 of us 2 years. That's good enough. Yi Xiaoyu waved off the issue. But I don't want to see this happen again. As he spoke, his eyes flicked briefly to their current outfits. Actually, what you're wearing now isn't bad. Hearing this, the 2 women froze. They watched as Yi Xiaoyu turned and casually went to eat, leaving them in stunned silence. Li Xian and Lin Yuxi were immediately embarrassed. Although they had stocked up on supplies yesterday, they hadn't had time to change clothes yet. Both were still wearing Yi Xiaoyu's oversized clothing, which hung loosely on them. But with their stunning figures, gorgeous faces, and innate elegance, the baggy clothes only accentuated their charm in an unconventional way. It would take an iron will for any man to withstand such a sight. After dinner and a quick wash, Li Xian, dressed in a white shirt and barely there shorts that struggled to cover her curves, entered Yi Xiaoyu's room voluntarily. By the time the next morning arrived, it was already the 5th day since the apocalypse began. Stretching lazily, Yi Xiaoyu felt refreshed after a well-earned night's rest. Li Xian, however, was not in as good shape. Yi Xiaoyu was simply too strong now. His physical stats had skyrocketed. His strength alone had reached 50 points. Considering that an average person had around 10 points, this was a 5-fold increase. What did 5 times the strength mean? It meant a single punch could kill a cow. No wonder Li Xian couldn't keep up. After a quick wash, the 2 of them joined Lin Yuxi, who had already prepared breakfast. It was a simple spread: bread, fried eggs, steak, and a few other items. Yi Xiaoyu had given them clear instructions: eat as much as you want. Don't worry about wasting anything. Because of this, Lin Yuxi had boldly prepared a lavish meal. Wow, it smells amazing. The moment Li Xian saw the food, she began salivating. Hungry, aren't you? Noticing her expression, Lin Yuxi smiled and handed her a cup of hot milk. Very. Li Xian admitted eagerly. After all, she had exhausted herself the night before. She had considered sneaking into the kitchen for a late-night snack but was too tired to move. Now, seeing such a feast, she couldn't wait any longer. Don't mind if I do. Grabbing her utensils, Li Xian began devouring the food. She wolfed down an egg in just 2 bites, leaving Lin Yuxi staring in astonishment. But Lin Yuxi quickly smiled warmly. It was satisfying to see her hard work appreciated. Resting her delicate chin on her hand, Lin Yuxi looked at Yi Xiaoyu apologetically. We're both so weak. We can't really help you much, so the least we can do is cook for you. Sorry about that. Over the past few days, Yi Xiaoyu had been the one running around tirelessly. Meanwhile, they had mostly stayed at home. Even yesterday's supply run had relied entirely on ironhide and venom, making it feel like they were more of a burden than a help. Yeah. Hearing this, Li Xian's expression dimmed. Her beautiful eyes showed a rare trace of self-doubt. If only we had power like yours, master, she murmured. If they were stronger, they could help Yi Xiaoyu deal with the constant challenges instead of being liabilities. Liabilities? Yi Xiaoyu didn't think so at all. You must be joking. Even if the two of you did nothing but eat and drink at home, you'd still be helping me tremendously. After all, the 100-fold return system wasn't a joke. Still, Yizayu paused for a moment, then smiled. If you want to become as strong as me, it's not impossible. Really? Both women's eyes lit up instantly. If they could gain power like Yizayu's, they wouldn't feel so useless anymore. Of course. Yizayu smirked, thinking about the shadow dagger he had acquired yesterday. Chapter 20, The Upgradable Lesion. Since he already had Blood Butterfly's Wrath, to be honest, he didn't really need this dagger. It was just right to give it to these two beauties. And let's not forget the effects of Obedience Water. Besides ensuring absolute loyalty, it also provided a 1-to-1 power return. In other words, whatever attribute points they gained, he would receive the same amount. It was essentially like having someone level up on his behalf. What's more, this weapon was bound to him. If he wanted, with just a thought, he could turn it into scrap metal. Not bad. With that in mind, Yizayu retrieved the shadow dagger from his space ring and handed it to the two girls. Huh? What's this? When they saw the completely pitch-black dagger emitting a faint, eerie purple glow, they couldn't help but feel a shiver run down their spines. It looked incredibly sharp. This is the shadow dagger. Yizayu didn't hide anything and explained directly, as long as you two use this dagger to kill zombies, it will increase your agility stat. What? A weapon like that actually exists? Hearing this, the two girls froze, their delicate faces filled with disbelief. If killing zombies could boost agility, wouldn't slaying thousands, tens of thousands, turn them into unstoppable speed demons? Well, theoretically, that should be the case, Yizayu nodded. After all, he hadn't tested it himself yet. But he twirled the dagger in his hand and said, for now, there's only one of these. Blood Butterfly's Wrath was out of the question. He needed it himself. That left only this shadow dagger. So he turned to the two girls and asked, which one of you wants it? This. The two of them exchanged glances, both seeing the desire in each other's eyes. Who could resist such a weapon that could boost their agility? The problem was, there was only one. Neither of them wanted to fight over it. Over the past few days, they had grown quite close. Fortunately, Lin Yuxi smiled and said, let Zia and take it. I don't need it for now. I prefer cooking over killing zombies. Yuxi-ji. Zia and froze, wanting to say something, but Lin Yuxi just patted her shoulder with a smile. This isn't an easy job, you know. You'll have to kill a lot of zombies. Besides, if you get stronger, you can protect me too. Zia and was touched. She hadn't expected this sister to treat her so well. This only strengthened her resolve to grow stronger. Don't worry, once I become strong, I'll definitely protect you, G. Alright, enough of that. Seeing the two girls being so polite with each other, Yizayu was speechless. Come on, it's not like there won't be more weapons in the future. Did they really need to be so courteous? He waved a hand and said, Zian, take it. If we find something better later, Yuxi can have that. Now, go ahead and try it out. Okay. Since he had already decided, Zia and didn't hesitate any longer. She eagerly took the dagger from Yizayu and gave it a few swings. The moment she held it, she was shocked to find that her body felt different. She was clearly much stronger than before. How is it? Seeing Zia and's shifting expression, Lin Yuxi quickly asked, curious. I feel. Zia and moved her arm, testing the weight of the dagger, before revealing a look of astonishment. My physical abilities seemed to have increased by several times. She felt like her strength had at least doubled. What? Double? Lin Yuxi was stunned. Damn, is this dagger really that overpowered? In reality, the dagger was exactly that powerful. While its main strength bonus was only plus 20, its agility boost was insane. Up to 5 times that of an ordinary person. Zia and felt her vision and reaction speed had significantly improved. But this wasn't enough. After breakfast, come with me to test it out. Okay. A look of excitement spread across Zia and's face. She was already eager to try it. After quickly finishing breakfast, she geared up and followed Yizayu downstairs. Roar. As if on cue, a zombie lunged at them. But the current Zia and was no longer the same as before. With her increased speed and nearly 3 times her previous strength. Squelch. She moved like a shadow, slicing through the zombie's head in an instant. The dagger wasn't very long, but it was still bigger than a typical one. Around 30 centimeters. Which made it quite handy for kills. As soon as the zombie died, a notification rang in Yizayu's ears. Ding. Your bonded goddess Zia and has slain a zombie. You have gained +1 agility. As expected. Seeing the stat change on his attribute panel, Yizayu was very satisfied. Meanwhile, After her first close-range kill, Lysia turned to Yizayu with a radiant smile and asked eagerly, How was that? Not bad. Yizayu nodded approvingly. This little girl wasn't bad at all. At the very least, she was quick and decisive when killing zombies. He waved his hand and said, This dagger is yours now. Train hard and kill as many zombies as possible. The stronger you become, the better. After all, the apocalypse had just begun. Now was the perfect time to seize every opportunity to get ahead. Understood. Lysia nodded firmly. She knew that in this apocalyptic nightmare, strength was the only way to survive. If she didn't grow stronger, she would only become a burden to Yizayu. She especially remembered the display of Yizayu's overwhelming power from before, and it only strengthened her resolve. One day, I'll be as strong as Master. Alright. Satisfied with her performance, Yizayu decided not to waste any more time. It was already the 5th day since the apocalypse began. By now, not just Guangming residential complex, but the entire city had lost power. That morning, he had to use a recon bird as a temporary power source just to cook a hot breakfast. So today, he planned to visit the hardware trade center to see if he could find some generators. He left Venom with Lysia to help her hunt zombies and level up. As for himself, he took Ironhide and headed to the hardware trade center to check things out. Chapter 21, Sorry, Hueihai doesn't allow someone this op to exist. Of course, before heading out, Yizayu didn't forget to activate another Cybertronian. No matter how strong he became personally, when it came to clearing out zombies, the Cybertronian mechanical life forms were still the best for the job. But this time, he didn't go too far. Instead, he stopped by a nearby customization shop. Because he remembered that there was a limited edition Lamborghini Veneno parked there. The Veneno, one of the top 3 legendary supercars in the world, valued at over 80 million. Well, maybe that was a bit of an overvaluation. But still, 80 million. If activating it came with some brand buffs, it couldn't possibly be bad. So, Yizayu decided to check it out. When he arrived at the shop, though, he found the place had already been wrecked beyond recognition. Zombies wandered around inside. Without hesitation, he stepped out of his car and used Blood Butterfly's wrath to clear them out. But he was still a little worried. Had the car been destroyed? Or worse, stolen? Fortunately, in the corner of the garage, he spotted it. A sleek, silver-gray, gleaming supercar. That's right. A Lamborghini Veneno. The Veneno. A beast among supercars, this car was simply stunning. A massive rear wing, a metallic silver-gray body with a mysterious sheen, combined with black wide-rimmed wheels. It exuded both elegance and raw, untamed power. Hell yeah, it's still here. Seeing this god-tier machine, Yizayu finally breathed a sigh of relief. I mean, who could resist the temptation of a Lamborghini Veneno? Without wasting time, he placed his hand on the car. Buzz. The moment he activated it, a surge of blue energy pulsed through the vehicle. Then, the car shuddered as if struck by lightning. A series of rapid metallic clicks followed. Gears whirred and shifted violently. Then, in an instant, the black Lamborghini Veneno transformed. A massive, 6-meter-tall mechanical titan rose before him. Its entire body was jet black, with a transparent visor emitting a soft blue glow. Its black metallic skeleton gleamed under the light, folding and unfolding seamlessly. It looked both indestructible and incredibly powerful. The moment it appeared, it locked its gaze onto Yizayu. Then, it knelt on one knee and spoke in a deep, otherworldly mechanical voice, "Greetings, my esteemed creator. Thank you for granting me new life." Yizayu was momentarily stunned. Because this guy looked an awful lot like Lockdown from the Transformers movie. That's right. Lockdown, the badass bounty hunter. The one who almost killed Optimus Prime with a single shot. Except, this version looked even more intimidating and sleek. As for its stats, when Yizayu checked, he nearly gasped. Strength, 4,000, casually toss lightning around like a rag doll. Defense, 6,000, basically an indestructible fortress. Firepower, 8,000, an absolute war machine. This guy is a beast. Yizayu chuckled. No wonder the Veneno was one of the world's top 3 supercars. Even if the 80 million price tag was exaggerated, its combat abilities far outclassed Lightning and Venom. From now on, your name will be Veneno. After all, that was already its name. And this form? It had the perfect blend of elegance and predatory ferocity. Yes, my creator. Veneno responded in a deep, reverent voice. The road to absolute power with Veneno added to his roster, Yizayu now had 4 Cybertronian warriors. Ironhide Venom Lightning Veneno in Hueihai, nobody would dare to mess with him. But this wasn't enough. Yizayu needed more. So, He headed to the hardware trade center to look for generators. The closer he got to the city center, the more zombies appeared. The moment he stepped out of the car, he spotted hundreds of them swarming around. But he wasn't fazed. He simply drew Blood Butterfly's wrath. And within minutes, he wiped them all out. Loot time. After finishing the massacre, Yizayu checked his gains, plus 260 attribute points, 2 bottles of obedience water, 1 recovery serum, 1 purification serum. Item descriptions: recovery serum, restores 70% HP upon use. Purification serum, cleanses all negative status effects, including zombie virus infection. Holy shit. Even this exists? Yizayu's expression turned strange. Why did this feel just like the loot drops from an RPG dungeon? System, did you just rip off a dungeon module from some game? He couldn't help but ask in his mind. But the system simply snorted arrogantly. The system applies whatever modules it wants. As long as it keeps you alive, what's the problem? Oh? Yizayu grinned. A sassy system, huh? He didn't mind, though. This wasn't bad at all. If this really worked like a dungeon, then one day, he might loot some god-tier equipment. A new discovery. Space ring upgrade. Among the loot, Yizayu also found a black stone. Item, upgrade stone, function, used to upgrade a space ring. Oh? Finally, one dropped. He had killed over 200 zombies before getting a single one of these. Use upgrade stone? Without hesitation, Yizayu selected yes. Ding. Your space ring has upgraded from blue quality to purple quality. Storage capacity increased from 2,000 cubic meters to 4,000 cubic meters. Nice. A satisfied smile appeared on Yizayu's face. It seemed he'd have to slaughter more zombies to get even better loot. But for now, he focused back on the mission. He entered the hardware store and quickly found 3 brand new portable generators. Interestingly, the energy required to activate them was only 10%. Looks like small-scale Cybertronians don't need much energy to activate. Since he had already used up his activations for today, he stored the generators in his space ring. Just as he was about to leave, a car sped toward him, screeching to a halt in front of him. 3 men stepped out, looking hostile. But the moment they saw the mountain of zombie corpses around them, their faces turned pale. The leader of the group eyed Yizayu warily. Did you do all this? Yizayu raised an eyebrow. What do you think? You see anyone else around? Holy shit. The 3 men nearly lost their minds. One guy just soloed over 100 zombies. The leader quickly forced a smile. Bro, I can see you're strong. I like strong people. How about joining us? We're from Zhang Family Estate, East City. If he could recruit a powerhouse like this, his status would skyrocket. But Zhang Family? Yizayu frowned, then shook his head. Never heard of them. Not interested. Oh? Not interested? The man's expression darkened instantly. Just moments ago, he was all smiles. Now, he was twirling a knife menacingly. Well then. Sorry, but Hueihai doesn't allow someone as op as you to exist. Chapter 22, Lysia and's Insane Zombie Massacre. Yo, what? Yizayu was momentarily stunned, thinking he had misheard. Just you guys? He could tell at a glance that these were just ordinary people. He had no idea where they got their confidence from. Sure enough, Shen Xiaolong was just a regular guy. He admitted that this guy in front of him was strong, but no matter how strong you are, can you beat the truth? As he spoke, Shen Xiaolong pulled a pistol from his waist and aimed it at Yizayu's head with a smirk. This is my confidence. Otherwise, why do you think the 3 of us dared to come out for a stroll? No matter how strong this guy was, Shen Xiaolong refused to believe he could dodge bullets. Oh, so that's how it is. Yizayu finally understood. So they had guns. However, Yizayu suddenly grinned. I have something nice too. Want to see? Oh? Shen Xiaolong's eyes lit up. What good stuff do you have? Take a look yourself. Yizayu motioned toward the pickup truck beside him. Shen Xiaolong was intrigued. He wasn't afraid of this guy trying anything funny. After all, he had 2 gunmen backing him up. If Yizayu made one wrong move, they'd shoot him on the spot. But just as Shen Xiaolong approached the pickup truck, the next second, Kakakaka. Before his eyes, the pickup truck suddenly shook violently. In the blink of an eye, it transformed into a towering, 7-meter-tall mechanical giant. A massive cannon, larger than Shen Xiaolong's own head, locked onto him. Holy shit. The sudden appearance of this massive cannon turned Shen Xiaolong's face deathly pale. He thought he was seeing things. Damn, there was something crazy about this truck. Before he could react. Boom. Ironhide fired an energy cannon, vaporizing him on the spot. The 2 remaining gunmen stood frozen. When they snapped out of it and realized their boss had been obliterated, their faces turned ghastly pale. Instinctively, they tried to run. But the moment Veneno transformed in the distance with the sound of clanking mechanical gears, towering at 7 meters tall, and raised its colossal energy cannon at them. The two men immediately threw up their hands. Wait. Don't kill us. We're from the Zhang family in East City. If you kill us, young Master Zhang won't let you off. One of them threatened. Zhang who? Li who? Yi Ziyu couldn't care less. Whoever it was. They were dead anyway. Veneno, take them out. Yes. At Yi Ziyu's command, Veneno wasted no time. Whir. Boom. A terrifying wave of energy blasted out, instantly vaporizing the two men. With these three dealt with, Yi Ziyu didn't linger. He got back into the car. With a deep roar of the engines, the Lamborghini led the way, followed closely by the pickup truck. Both vehicles sped off, heading back to the residential complex. Upon arriving back at the complex, Yi Ziyu found Lysia and still grinding levels. The entire street around her was littered with corpses. At least 200 to 300 zombies. Even Yi Ziyu was momentarily taken aback by the bloody scene. This woman. Was she insane? At that moment, Lysia was visibly exhausted. Leaning against Veneno's Paganiwara, she gripped her shadow dagger and panted heavily. But when she saw Yi Ziyu approaching, her face lit up with joy. Master! She called out. You! Did all this? Yi Ziyu walked over, looking at the street full of zombie corpses with a complicated expression. A little embarrassed, Lysia nodded, stuck out her tongue playfully, and gasped, sorry. I think I got a little too into it. Yi Ziyu's mouth twitched. A little too into it? More like she wiped out every zombie in the area. But the results were impressive. Yi Ziyu checked his stats and found that his agility had increased by 270 points. Which meant this little girl had killed 270 zombies in a single afternoon. Yi Ziyu suddenly doubted his own existence. Damn, was he actually worse at this than a girl? But Lysia still wasn't satisfied. She shook her head and said, I feel like my speed has increased more than 20-fold, but it's still not enough. I need to get even stronger so I can help you better. Yi Ziyu stopped her. That's enough for today. Although her speed kept increasing, her stamina wasn't keeping up. If she continued like this, her mental state would collapse. So Yi Ziyu put an end to it. That's enough for now. We'll continue tomorrow. Besides, I have an announcement to make tonight. Ah. Lysia was taken aback but quickly nodded. Okay, I'll listen to you, Master. Good. Let's head back first. Yi Ziyu patted her shoulder. Lysia was so exhausted she could barely stand. He had Veneno carry her back. Upon returning to the residential complex, Lin Yuxi was startled when she saw Lysia covered in blood. Lysia took a deep breath and smiled. It's not my blood. It's the zombies. Oh. That's a relief. Hearing that it wasn't Lysia's blood, Lin Yuxi finally relaxed. Still, she couldn't help but complain, you went way too hard. Even if leveling up was important, there was no need to be this reckless. She had wiped out over 300 zombies in a single morning. But Lysia didn't see it that way. The stronger she became, the better she could help Yi Ziyu in the future. Seeing how dirty she was, Yi Ziyu glanced at her and said, you should take a shower first. Okay. Lysia also felt a little gross, so she immediately took off her clothes and threw them outside the door. The recon bird cooperated perfectly, spitting out a burst of flames that incinerated them completely. Lin Yuxi then took Lysia into the bathroom for a shower. Before long, Lysia walked out, now fresh and clean, wearing a beige nightgown that revealed her long, snow-white legs. She looked much more comfortable as she flopped onto the sofa, completely exhausted. When Lin Yuxi brought over lunch, she said, Xian, you've been busy for so long. You must be starving. Eat something first. Okay. But just as she was about to start eating, she saw the tomato braised beef on the table. Her face instantly turned pale. The next second, she bolted to the bathroom and started dry heaving. Lin Yuxi was startled. Xian, what's wrong? Yi Ziyu glanced at the beef and chuckled. She probably killed too many zombies, and now she's having a physiological reaction. Watching Lysia vomiting, Yi Ziyu felt like this was a normal human response. Otherwise, wouldn't that make him seem even less human than a girl? After throwing up for a while, a pale-faced Lysia was helped to bed by Lin Yuxi to rest. Meanwhile, Yi Ziyu took a quick shower and then enjoyed a hearty meal. Not long after, Lin Yuxi came out, looking a bit shaken as she patted her chest. How is she? Asleep? Yi Ziyu asked. Yeah, Lin Yuxi nodded, still looking a little traumatized. It's terrifying. I didn't know killing zombies would cause such a reaction. Thank God I didn't go. She was suddenly relieved that she had given the shadow dagger to Li Xian. Otherwise, she probably would have been vomiting just as badly. But Yi Xiao had a different perspective. Leaning back in his chair, he said, "You'll have to go through it sooner or later." I guess. Thinking it over, Lin Yuxi realized he was right. Sooner or later, she would have to experience it. But she still flashed a charming smile and said, "Then I hope it's later rather than sooner." Time passed, and by around 3 p.m., Li Xian finally emerged. "How are you feeling?" Yi Xiao, who was sitting on the sofa checking his stats, looked up and asked. "Much better." She was still a bit tired. Wearing bunny slippers, she took a couple of slow steps before collapsing onto Yi Xiao's shoulder, hugging his arm for security. She closed her eyes and murmured, "Give me 10 more minutes, and I'll be fine." "All right, perfect timing." Seeing that she was almost recovered, Yi Xiao clapped his hands and called Lin Yuxi over. "Since we're all here, I have an announcement to make." Gawk gawk. Even the recon bird flew over, as if joining the meeting. Li Xian lazily opened her eyes. "What is it?" Yi Xiao said calmly, "Tonight, we're moving to a new location." Chapter 23, Veneno, keep those filthy zombies away. "What? We're relocating?" Both women were stunned. "But this place is fine. Why move all of a sudden?" Li Xian lifted her eyelids in confusion. "Yeah." Lin Yuxi also thought their current location was pretty good. But Yi Xiao had a different perspective. Forget the current state of the area. Cybertronian life forms were increasing in number. Now, they already had Veneno, Ironhide, Lightning, and Poison. There would surely be more in the future. They needed a better base. And he had already planned for this. The Sky Garden in the city center. But instead of explaining, he simply said, "You don't need to worry. Just follow me." "Oh, okay." The two women quickly came to their senses. It made sense. Just follow Yi Xiao. Where they went didn't really matter. Lin Yuxi sprang up with a playful smile. "Give me a minute. I need to pack my stuff." "Me too." Li Xian perked up and ran off to pack as well. An hour later, they were finally ready. Women. When it comes to going out, they take forever. They had even been one step away from putting on makeup. Not that they needed it. Both were stunning naturally. After simply changing into fresh clothes and equipping their weapons, they were good to go. With Li Xian fully recovered after 2 hours of rest, the trio set off. The recon bird led the way. Before long, they reached the underground parking garage. Ironhide, Veneno, Lightning, and Poison were already waiting. "Creator." The massive machines greeted Yi Xiao respectfully in their mechanical voices. Veneno even opened the car door for him. Yi Xiao gave a slight nod and got into the driver's seat. Li Xian slid into the passenger seat. Lin Yuxi frowned. "Wait, why are there only 2 seats? This Pagani is kinda lame." Yi Xiao smirked. "Just sit in Lightning." "No way." Lin Yuxi had no intention of sitting in another car. A sudden idea struck her. Flashing an innocent smile, she looked at Yi Xiao. "Brother. Can't we just squeeze in?" "Squeeze in? How?" Before Yi Xiao could react, Lin Yuxi had already climbed in. Right onto his lap. Her delicate figure felt weightless, her body soft against his. And her arms. Free to rest wherever. Veneno, ever considerate, even adjusted its internal structure to make the driver's seat more spacious. "This should be fine. Right?" Lin Yuxi turned her head, her face flushing slightly. Then, with a mischievous glint in her eyes, she deliberately shifted her position, making herself more comfortable. Yi Xiao was speechless. This woman really knew how to make things work. But not bad. "Let's move out." Vroom. With a deep, thunderous roar, Veneno's engine howled. Behind them, the military green Lamborghini and Poison weren't about to be outdone. Their headlights flashed, and a powerful, beast-like growl echoed through the parking garage, making the ground tremble. Ironhide stood there, stunned, watching his brothers rev up. The hell? So it's all about horsepower now? But there was nothing he could do. After all, he was towing a 9-meter-long Western Star truck. Something Yi Xiao had found at the second-hand supercar dealership and hauled back. Unfortunately, activating it required 200% energy. But really, what guy could resist having Optimus Prime's original model as a teammate? And so, with Veneno leading the way, a Pagani Huara was the first to exit the parking lot, followed by Lightning, then the beast-like Poison, and finally Ironhide towing the massive Western Star. 5 vehicles, engines roaring, thundered forward. They instantly attracted the attention of countless zombies. Surprisingly, the zombies didn't charge at them. That caught Yi Xiao off guard. These zombies are getting smarter. They weren't attacking. meaning he was missing out on easy attribute points. Master, try this. Lizia and suddenly handed him a silenced pistol. Yizayu's eyes lit up. Right. The system said he'd gain stats by killing zombies. But it never specified that guns weren't allowed. Let's test it out. With that thought, Yizayu chambered around. Even as the supercar sped along the road, he aimed and... bang! A perfect headshot. With a single shot, the zombie's head exploded, and it collapsed mid-stride. At the same time, Yizayu heard the familiar, satisfying system notification, ding. Congratulations on killing a zombie. Attribute points +3, as expected. Hearing this, Yizayu confirmed that using guns did count. This was way more convenient than melee combat. Taking out zombies from a distance without breaking a sweat. So, as they traveled, Yizayu casually sniped zombies while driving. Before long, he had already eliminated over a dozen. His godlike marksmanship left Lizia in shock. Master, your shooting skills are insane. Insane? Yizayu sneered inwardly. He had stacked 5 times the agility of an average person, and after gaining bonus points from Lizia and's 100-fold return, his agility was now over 30 times that of a normal human. Landing moving headshots was child's play. Rumble. Just as Yizayu was enjoying his zombie shooting spree, a low rumbling sound echoed from the sky. Yizayu looked up and spotted a heavily armed helicopter slowly flying out of the city center. Wait. That's a helicopter. Lizia was surprised. She hadn't expected to see an aircraft still operational in this apocalypse. Looks like a military rescue mission. Yizayu recognized the aircraft. It was the kind only the military would have access to. It was probably related to the squad they had encountered earlier. For a moment, he couldn't help but feel a bit envious. If he could get his hands on a fully operational gunship. Damn. That firepower would be insane. But he wasn't in a rush. Plenty of opportunities would come his way. With that, their supercar convoy, led by Veneno and towing the Western Star, thundered into the city center. It was a spectacular sight. For the survivors trapped in the high-rises, it was unbelievable. Holy shit. Am I seeing things? Supercars? Damn. Who the hell is still driving supercars in the middle of the apocalypse? And that Western Star truck? It's massive. Wait. Is no one gonna talk about that pickup truck? How the hell is it towing something that heavy? The onlookers were completely dumbfounded. Since when were survivors this crazy? It wasn't just the survivors who were shocked. Even the dominant zombies in the city center were stunned. But after a brief moment of confusion, they roared in fury. How dare these humans barge into their territory? This was outright provocation.